Yeah, hello everyone. How you doing? Yeah, okay. I'm immediately going to apologize for not having that last planned stream last week. 40. Oh, okay. Oh, 40 stream streak. Grats, Shanka. Grats. Yeah. Right. So, I know I was going to stream last Friday and I didn't. I apologize for that. Why did I cancel it? Why did I cancel that stream? I don't remember why I canceled it. It might have been just tired. I don't know. But yeah. Also, hey, hello, Megaman and Chonka and EA. I saw you there in chat while the stream was starting up. Hello, everyone. Because of Christmas, right. Yeah, I was having a right. Yeah, I was having a bit of I was having a bit of a moment there because I stream I visited with family and then streamed for 7 hours. So yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, because that was the stream with Akko, and then that stream ended, and I immediately joined Akko and them on another stream for another 3 hours. So yeah. Did I get anything for Christmas? I'm in the I'm in the phase of my life where I'm mostly getting clothes and gift cards, and you know what? I'm totally fine with that. I'm totally fine with that. A lot of people are like, look, man, I don't know what Boemon's into, but he seems to know what he's into. So we'll let him guide we'll let him guide it. I'm in that phase of my life, and you know what? I'm fine with that. Honestly, I'm perfectly fine with that. Also, yeah, you also hit that phase eventually where you're like, and if you haven't hit there yet, you'll hit there at one point where it's like where you get socks or a shirt or a pair of pants, and you're like, oh, this is actually really nice. Thank you. I actually highly appreciate that. So yeah. That was the majority of what my Christmas presents were. And you know what? Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Um but yeah. Um man, I adulthood. Yeah, yeah, Kaldheim, exactly. What it's I don't know, it's like the super awkward point where you transition from ew socks to oh nice socks, you know? And I can't even really pinpoint when it happened either. It was just like, you know, I guess it's like when it's like it hits when you reach that point in adulthood where you're just like, oh, I have to buy my own clothes now. You know, like right after you leave home to live on your own, and then all of a sudden you realize, oh hey, uh, clothes just don't grow on trees. I actually need to take care of my clothes and have clothes and stuff. You got a $100 card and blew it all on Gunplot. Yeah, real. Uh, I'm probably going to finally buckle down and buy the high grade new Gundam soon because I have the Suzabi. I just don't have the new Gundam and haven't actually, like I said, I haven't actually just bought the bullet and got that suit because yeah, I just haven't. Even though if I have the Suzabi, I should absolutely have the new Gundam. That is just how it works. You cannot separate those two. Ibo, the FGO part 2 is finally ended. No spoilers, obviously. Your thoughts? I've read. Okay, I'm not gonna discuss the particulars of that. I will just say, yeah, that is some absolutely wild shit that happens at the end of FGO part 2. Like, yeah, I'm not even going to bring any of it up because it is just all spoilers. It is all massive spoilers. But at the same time, just just damn, just damn. That's all I'm gonna say. You're wearing the socks you got right now for Christmas. You love it. Yeah. Well, I'm not wearing any socks. I'm not wearing any socks right now. I just got my slippers on because, you know, I'm an old man who's hit that I wear slippers around the house phase of my life. I did get socks though. Like unironically, I did get socks. Greetings, studs. Hey, Damien, how you doing? How you doing? Hey, also you two Dino Man, how you doing? Uh, yeah. So that was pretty much my Christmas. I know tomorrow I'll be doing a long stream. I'll be starting at 7. I'll be going till midnight or probably later. I don't know what I'm going to fill all the time with. It's not a strictly a yap stream like today. I'll probably play some games and stuff. But yeah, I want to do a end of the a stream on the last day of the year because going into that goes into 2025 just because I feel like it, you know. I feel like putting in the energy for that. I feel like just being there, someone to watch for people who may not want to watch the ball drop as the year ticks over, stuff like that. I'm good. Thanks for asking. Just building decks on Dueling Nexus. That's Yu-Gi-Oh, right? That's Yu-Gi-Oh is Dueling Nexus. I think that's what that is because I will admit I'm not, I've said this before. I am not a trading card game guy. I tried Yu-Gi-Oh and Magic the Gathering in high school ages ago, and it was too big brain for me. It was too big brain for my dyscalculic, probably slightly dyslexic self. And also the fact that Yu-Gi-Oh cards are just like I swear to God, there's some of those Yu-Gi-Oh cards that have like the entirety of War and Peace written on them. For what I've seen, it's like there's so much text. And from a friend who plays, and I've talked to Kibby about Yu-Gi-Oh, and the way she put it was quite simply, Yu-Gi-Oh players don't actually read. So, and you know what? I don't blame them with that much text on the card. They're actually planning to have a VTuber tournament for Yu-Gi-Oh next year. Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah. Again, Yu-Gi-Oh is too big brain for me. I just like, putting all my entire melee-centric Warhammer army on the table and pushing them forward with a giant broom. I know what happens fucking crazy because that's how we'll say. Yeah, exactly. Don't spoil the FGO stuff. Just I will comment though. It is crazy. It is some crazy stuff. The Christmas is definitely better than last year's Christmas, and this year I wasn't in the hospital because of kidney stones. I remember that, EA. I remember you were in the hospital for kidney stones. That damn. Okay, well I'm glad you having a better Christmas this year. You know. Still plugging away at that massive Emperor's Children commission. I'm slowly losing my mind painting all those EC minis. Listen, man, you're gonna be handling so much light purple and pink paint that you're gonna be like seeing pink in your dreams for like the rest of your life, probably. I think you posted some what do you call it? Some progress pictures of that in the Discord server. Hold on. Maybe scroll up real quick and find those because I think you actually did post that a while ago. Yeah, there it is. One moment. All right, let's scroll back on that. Is that decent? Okay, that's pretty good. All right. There's that. Okay. The trim is what's giving you grief. Oh, I can imagine. Hey, Dino Man, do I
escaping to the one place that hasn't been corrupted by capitalism? Space.
Hey, Jay Martin, how you doing? Dino Man, do you mind if I show off your what you're working on stream, the pictures from the Discord? I know you posted it on the Discord, but I want to ask permission before I go and like put it on the internet for everyone to witness. That's the wrong timing there. Doing good. How is the Christmas? Well, the Christmas is come and gone. We're waiting on New Year's now. Oh yeah. I will not be getting drunk on New Year's. I'm not one for, I don't drink alcohol, so I will not be getting drunk on New Year's. I will be delightfully sober. go ahead. All right. So I'm just gonna shift on over to here. All right, and where is that? All right, I do Habib. I do Habib that this is it. So one moment. All right, let's just slide the view screen into view. There we go. There we go. These are the what do you call it? This is the Emperor's Children commission that Dino Man is working on. He was nice enough to share pictures of, and these look really nice. Like, these look really nice. You'll drink enough for both of us? Yeah. Listen, man. I will say I won't say don't drink. I will say drink responsibly. All right. Don't ruin your kidney on my account. Or not kidneys. Don't ruin your liver on my account, dude. The gold looks good as fuck. Yeah, no, this looks really good. This looks like really good. Like you're obviously being commissioned to paint these, you know, and those look really nice. You're doing a good job on those. Yeah, I'm also really liking the gold you're doing on the what do you call it, on the sonic weapons. Yeah, that looks really good. Yeah, another shot of these. How long does this take? I don't know. I remember Dino Man got the commission earlier in the year and has been working on it basically ever since. It's a lot too. Like it's a lot of minis. Like that's a lot of minis to paint. Very understandable. Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a lot of minis. That reminds me, I should buckle up and get back to my own hobbying. I've been busy with other stuff and haven't really been able to for a while. 50 minis? I don't know how many that is. It's a lot though. And y'all know me, I can't count. So, yeah. Also, I'm trying to recognize the paint brand you're using. It looks like oh, what's it called? Army Painter? That looks like Army Painter. In fact, I think that is Army Painter. Let me hold on. One moment, everyone. I need to go do something. I need to go do something really quick. Looking at one of my own Army Painter vials. Yeah, that's Army Painter. Army Painter War Paints. Yeah, that's it. I thought those bottles looked familiar. Okay, let me go put this paint bottle back real quick. Hold on. There we go. All right, coming back. There we go. Thank you. We still got 6 Chaos Spawns, 2 Chaos Rhinos, 2 Mauler Fiends, 4 Demon Princes, and Fulgrim and Lucius to get through. Oh, Christ, man. Yeah, no, you still got a lot of work ahead of you, but again, you're doing a good job. Keep it up, man. Better painter than I am. I fucking suck at painting. I never got used to painting in all my years of playing Warhammer. It's genuinely my least favorite part of putting a model together. I'm more a builder than a painter. I hate to admit that, but it's true. You got this? Oh no, those aren't mine. Those aren't again, no, Jim Martin. Those aren't mine. Those belong to Dino Man and Chad over on YouTube. Those are not mine. I would never take credit for a paint job that good. I suck at painting. But yeah, I gotta find time to do my own hobbying, and I've been having a little more free time to myself. So I might get back into doing that. I might also try to nut up and do it on stream again. Because y'all know I'm a paranoid motherfucker, and I'm not a fan of being on camera, even if it's just my big, meaty claws. So, yeah. Yeah, I know. I mean, I like you can believe it. Paint good in the future. Oh, okay, yeah, okay. I mean, listen. Thank you for having more faith in my ability to paint than I have, but I have no faith in my ability to paint. I will not pretend to have faith in my ability to paint. I'm awful at it. Ooh. Well, yeah, yeah, man. Still. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, New Year's. I will point out for the going over the rest what the rest of the week will be about a little bit before we get underway. Uh, I am going to be continuing the Cyberpunk playthrough. Starting on Wednesday, not Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Uh, One of those may get interrupted if I do some impromptu plans with some friends that'll get streamed. But on the current trajectory, I'm gonna start continuing that playthrough Thursday and Friday. I know I started Ace Combat 7 as well. I don't know when I'm gonna continue that playthrough because I won't lie. As much as I love Ace Combat 7, the cyberpunk mood is hitting really hard, like full force in the face, just cock slapping me with a desire to play cyberpunk. So I've lined that up for Thursday and Friday, and I'll be doing Helldivers with the boys at 5 p.m. Saturday. And again, tomorrow will just be tomorrow's just gonna be probably random games while I chat and while we await the year to cycle over. Hello, Marshall Beaumont. I've never spoken here before, but I've been following you for the past year. I don't agree with everything you say, but I like hearing your takes on things. Hey, listen. Hey, man, that's first of all, thank you. Thank you. Second of all, I don't require people agree. I don't require people agree with me. The only thing I require when people disagree with me is just like a modicum of basic respect, and that's really it. That's really it. And I don't really mind if people disagree with me and stuff. Plus the fact that, listen, I don't pretend to be right about it. Well, I only pretend to be right about everything. I know for a fact I'm not right about everything. Like, I'll straight up say today's entire stream is going to be just me schizo posting for the better part of a couple hours. Like this is gonna be a schizo topic stream. This is all me theorizing and chasing trends and looking at not chasing trends, recognizing trends and all that, like the topic we'll be going into. But yeah, that's today. New Year's is tomorrow, and whatever the hell is talked about in the middle of that. And then yeah, Thursday, Friday, Cyberpunk, continuing that. Thank God it's not a modded playthrough, because if for some reason CD Projekt Red decides to pull a decides to pull a Bethesda and randomly update the game, my mods wouldn't explode. So it's unmodded playthrough, so nothing will be interrupting the playthrough. I was, believe me when I say I was tempted to mod it so I could do the Sandevistan hacking combo, but yeah, no, I'll just have to use I'll just have to be like, the cyberpunk equivalent of Grug and not do any hacking. Grug hit enemy with sword. Grug shoot gun. Grug go fast. Grug no need hack, You wish more people were like that instead of these YouTubers that basically want sheep to just jump on the bandwagon. Listen, even though it's good for the algorithm on YouTube to do the whole, YouTube to do the whole, like, share, and subscribe thing. I don't want to do that because it feels fake to me. It feels like begging. And I realize that the algorithm actually recognizes that you say it. And I fully realize me saying it to point this out will probably boost this video on the algorithm. But I don't want to say that stuff. People want to follow me. Follow me on social media. I want them to do it for legitimate reasons. I want them to actually like, oh, hey, this guy's kind of entertaining. I want to follow him. I don't want to have to beg for the follow and stuff. I don't want to have to do that. The most I want to do that is just the bots I have that post on occasion in chat. Let the bots handle it. I don't think people should need any more need any more encouragement to have to follow me than just like, oh, hey, I like the cut of this guy's jib, you know? You had problems with your mods the last time you played Cyberpunk? I think okay, last time I tried playing Cyberpunk, I was playing a modded playthrough, and I did do that on stream. This is before I streamed on YouTube. But yeah, no, the game updated and killed my save. So I was all like, ah, fuck, and I couldn't continue the playthrough. So if it's a game where I can't control the updates like that, like Star Sector will never update, for example, unless I actively update it. I made that mistake second to last playthrough in Star Sector. But that game I can just I don't have to worry about it. So I can mod the shit out of that. But something like Cyberpunk, yeah, no, that'll just get updated on Steam and then potentially break all my mods. So I don't want to do a modded playthrough of that. If I could get reassurance that CDPR just won't drop another random ass update out of the blue like they tend to sometimes, then I would do a modded playthrough. CDPR is like the ex who keeps hitting you with, wait, I didn't finish talking. Yeah, exactly. They're like fucking Uncle from Jackie Chan Adventures, Wow, okay, I tried doing my impersonation of Uncle from Jackie Chan Adventures, and apparently the pitch was so high, it triggered my mic to shut out. Like, one more thing, like that. I tried doing it at the right pitch that he would use, and it was just like, my mic was just like, no. Hello, peeps. What did GW do this time? We'll get into that soon enough. Don't worry. We'll get into that soon enough. I honestly don't understand why Games Workshop is destroying this. Because, first of all, Hammer 40K Flyer, hello and welcome. Because they're stupid and out of touch. It's really it. That's really it. They don't know what they're doing. Like, they think they know what they're doing. They don't know what they're doing. Like, they genuinely do not. And okay, so you know what? I've been lathering y'all up with hot preamble the whole time. I think it's about time we actually got into the topic at hand. So we're gonna move back on over to here. And okay, so here's I want to show y'all something, right? I want to show y'all something. So first of all, this is the 2026 content roadmap for the game Warhammer 40,000 Battle Sector, right? First of all, Battle Sector, good game. I recommend it. It's a bit heavy on the DLC, but it is a good game. I will say keep the DLC prices in mind when buying it. Good game though. One of the few games that actually have a Sister of Battle campaign in it. I will point out the recent what do you call it? Narrative DLC they released was a Sister of Battle campaign. So yeah, it's a turn-based strategy game. It's more a recreation of Tabletop, but here's the thing. What's this? At least Glim Glam Glitz Daka is trying to encourage creativity for the genuine fans of 40K with Mech Force Gear Guts. I have never heard of this. Hold on. Okay. I know I said I'd get to the main topic. Now you've piqued my interest. I want to see what you're talking about real quick. I've never heard of this. Gim Gam Glitz Daka. What? I've never heard of this person. They appear they mostly post videos on YouTube. And weirdly enough, I'm not. Oh wait, hold on. Oh, this is Gaijin. Oh, it's Gaijin Goomba. Okay. Never mind. Okay. Oh man. Okay, that's disappointing. Yeah, no, Gaijin Goomba's one of those people from like, the Gamergate era that like, was a problem for normal gamers. So I tend to avoid everything he does. So I will not be further discussing Gim Gam Glitz Daka on the stream. Sister of Battle really get a lot of disrespect, as cool as a faction they are, and it's a shame they don't really get taken seriously even by people who say they want female representation. Well, I mean, okay, I've discussed that before, but that really is a matter of like, that's exactly why they don't get taken seriously by the people who want representation, because it gives them what they want, right? It gives them what they want. They want power armored warrior women, and that gives them what they want. But unfortunately, if they get what they want, they can't keep making demands. So, yeah, they can't keep making demands of the of the creators of Warhammer, pushing their agenda if they have what they want. So naturally, they have to come up with all kinds of excuses about like, oh hey, here's why, Sisters of Battle don't count as female representation for this reason, that reason. And so that's why we need female Space Marines. Same with Sisters of Silence. Give them your finger and they'll take your whole hand. Yes. Also, hello, Alfie89. Welcome to the chat. First time chatter. I hope you're having a good evening. But oh yeah, Warhammer Fantasy had the Sisters of Sigmar, and they were basically a similar thing. I remember Sisters of Sigmar, actually. I remember that from back in the day. Sisters of Sigmar, though, were I want to say they were primarily a faction in Mordheim, though. Like they were a Mordheim faction. Let me confirm that. We would go to Lexicanum, of course. I don't remember if they, I really don't remember if they had, if they were in regular Warhammer Fantasy, but they were, oh, okay, here we go. Yeah, here we go. Here's the, this is their Lexicanum entry. Like, I absolutely remember them. I absolutely remember them from, hold on, no, we don't need, let me go back to this. I absolutely remember them from back in the day. I didn't play Fantasy as much as I did 40K, but I do remember Sisters of Sigmar, and I do remember, Mordheim. But I don't remember if they had a presence in regular Warhammer Fantasy Battles games. They were what do you call it? Mordheim rulebook, Altdorf Crown of the Empire. What was that? I mean, why does it take Lexicanum so long to load? Also, okay, we'll get that picture loading because I want to zoom in on that because it's some nice art. I like sharing art. Art is cool. Mordheim mostly, but still cool. Yeah. That reminds me, I gotta, fucking one of these days play, okay. All Crown of the Empire was Warhammer Fantasy roleplay, and they were playable in that. Okay. And then, Sisters of Sigmar. They were just Sisters of Battle, but they were the 40K version. And that's the funny thing when people say, and I will point out, by the way, with Sisters of Battle, when people are like, oh, but the people who want female Space Marines will literally just be like, they're just the girl faction. It's like, but that's what you want. That's what you want. Why is it a problem now? French Crusade is out there, GW and GW. That's kind of insane. Oh, yeah, okay. McGinnis, remind me to get more into that. Okay, we will get into that later. I want to get this first topic of the night out of the way. We will, believe me, we're shitting on Trench Crusade before this stream is out. Believe that. But yeah, no, I want to get through the primary topic first. All right. I want I want to get the thing we came here to talk about out of the way first. And then we're gonna squat over Trench Crusade and take a big steaming shit right on their chin. Good. They deserve it. Okay. So, okay. But yeah, no, back to the main topic though. We got this again. So this is we'll just start from scratch because I did get a little sidetracked. Again, this is the content roadmap for Warhammer 40,000 Battle Sector. Now, this game launched with 4 factions. It launched with wait, no, was it 4? I think it was 2. Yeah, I think it launched with 2 factions. It launched with Blood Angels and Tyranids. Then they added Sisters of Battle and Tau, Chaos. Oh, Not Alive Zombie. Thank you for the follow. Welcome to Crusade. But yeah, Blood Angels, Tyranids. Then they added Orcs, Blood Angels, Tyranids. Then they added Orcs, Sisters of Battle, Tau, Imperial Guard, Chaos Demons, and fuck me, what are all the facts? They've added so much stuff to that game, I actually have a little trouble keeping track. I'm bringing up Steam while I talk about this, but let's see. Check library. No. Where is it? Battle Sector. There we go. Okay. Battle Sector DLC. Right. They've added with story campaigns, but in terms of factions, they added Astra Militarum, Tau, Demons of Khorne, Orcs, Sisters of Battle, Necrons, and then they've also expanded the roster for the launch factions, which were Tyranids and Blood Angels. And now, oh, yeah, I keep seeing you go live on Twitter, and I keep forgetting to follow you on Twitch. And it's cool, dude. It's cool. Thank you for the follow, though. Thank you for the follow. Nice to see you in chat. But right. So those are the factions they've added to this game. They've added a lot of factions. Let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They've added 7 factions to this game. And now early next year, they're adding the 8th faction, Black Legion. And then they're adding another Space Marine chapter, the Ultramarines. And then later that year, they're adding another faction, which isn't announced, right? Now, don't get me wrong. I think Battle Sector's good. I will absolutely say go buy Battle Sector. It's a good game. It's a fun game. It's a fun turn-based strategy game. Mind you, I'm not for the YouTube people. I'm not sponsored by Battle Sector at all. I just think it's a good game, and they're relevant to the topic at hand. So the topic at hand. I think this is a sign. This is a sign of what's to come. And what I think is to come is that Games Workshop is quitting tabletop gaming. That's what I think they're doing. I think Games Workshop is going to either stop or dial back being a tabletop game developer. I think that is something they are absolutely angling for, at the very least within the next 5 to 8 years. We're getting this on top of Total War 40K and Dawn of War 4. Yeah, exactly. Omer Qasim 20. If I'm mispronouncing that, I am sorry. Cheers in 2026. Thank you, dude. You too. But right. So I think Games Workshop within 8 years are going to either severely dial back their publication of tabletop gaming, if not leave it outright. I think the conservative estimate is a severe dial back. I think quitting entirely, them leaving it entirely, no longer doing tabletop gaming is on the table. I think it is a possibility they're actually pursuing. Now, I know what y'all thinking. Bohemond, what are you talking about? That's crazy. That is absolutely crazy. Okay, So here is my, so here's why I believe that, all right? So here's something we know for a fact about Games Workshop. For the longest time, when they would release a 40K video game, there's a reason. Marshall, are we hanging out with Akko? Not tonight. Not tonight. She apparently wants me to join her on wants me to join him on a I keep forgetting Akko's a dude because of the female avatar. I am dumb. But yeah, I will be joining Akko on more streams in the future, just not this week. But right. So okay, so yeah, on the topic though. So whenever Games Workshop would release a game, this is after Dawn of War, Soulstorm, like post Soulstorm, because Soulstorm, in terms of the factions playable in 40K, back at that time in 40K's history, was getting up there in terms of like availability of all the factions, right? Like, it didn't have the specific Space Marine chapters, but it did have the majority of the 40K factions on tabletop back at that time represented. And ever since then, Games Workshop has shied away from releasing a 40K game, like a strategy game, with, you know, an excessive amount of faction representation. Dawn of War 2 was the one that was like the one with the highest representation. It had Space Marines, Eldar, Orcs, and Tyranids. Then they added Chaos. Then they added Imperial Guard, and I want to say Imperial Guard was the last one they added in Dawn of War 2, I think. And I might be missing one. It's been a while. But, yeah. And then Dawn of War 3 was just 3 factions. They were going to add Necrons, but the game flopped. The game fell on its face. There was the infamous Necron Teagues at the end of the game. Hold on. Can you even find pictures of that on the internet anymore? Yeah, right. That didn't. What the hell? Yeah, here you'll have to take a video. You have to take a video cover and a trust me and a trust me, bro. But yeah. They were teasing Necrons, but then it never came about. Kind of probably why they're adding Necrons in Dawn of War 4. It wouldn't surprise me if, like, you know, they're just gonna, you know, continue along an improved plot thread from, you know, Dawn of War 3. Because in the canon for the Blood Ravens, Dawn of War 3 happened, but it's incredibly glossed over. Like it's like, yeah, there was a war here. Moving on. Y'all remember Soulstorm? Hello, Crystal Mama. And yes, I do remember Soulstorm. Like, we were just bringing that up, how Soulstorm had basically just about everything, every core faction, not accounting for, like, sub-factions available at the time. But you'll notice something about 40K video games, about, like, specifically the strategy ones. I'm not talking, like, their shooters, or they're like, you know, they're weird, they're like, you know, they're meme platform games like Sister of Battle, which is VR, or like Space Marine 2, or Space Marine for that matter, or Dark Tide, or everything. I'm talking mainly the strategy games, the thing closest to tabletop. You notice they've always been light on releasing too many factions for those. The one that had the most factions since Dawn of War 2 was Battlefleet Gothic Armada, which had every single Battlefleet Gothic faction. And you'll notice the thing about Battlefleet Gothic is it's a dead tabletop game. They don't publish it anymore. You notice they okayed a similar thing for Total War Warhammer. Every single faction in the history of Warhammer Fantasy Tabletop, and by Warhammer Fantasy, I mean the real Warhammer Fantasy, not Age of Sigmar. The spaceship RTS, that's Battlefleet Gothic. Yeah, that's the spaceship one. What do I think of Chaos Gate? Well, we'll get to that in a minute, Dudeberg. Hold on. One moment. But so Battlefleet Gothic was a game that was, dead. They didn't publish it anymore, right? And they didn't publish or print minis for it anymore. They okayed a video game that had all of the factions from that tabletop game represented. If you want to play Battlefleet Gothic in a video game completely in a video game format, just get Battlefleet Gothic Armada 2. And that's unusual because we know for a fact Games Workshop doesn't want to release a Warhammer 40,000 strategy video game with all of the factions because, and this is apparently their logic that they've put forward. They're afraid of the video games cutting into miniature sales for playing on tabletop. That is what they have said in the past. They don't want the strategy video games to cut too much into tabletop sales. Like they don't want people, to avoid buying the minis, buying the rule books, playing on tabletop. So a good portion of strategy games are limited scope in terms of faction. Like look at because Dudeberg mentioned Chaos Gate, right? Chaos Gate Demon Hunters, Grey Knights and Nurgle, Mechanicus, Adeptus Mechanicus, and Necrons. Apparently, Mechanicus 2 was going to have at some point Leagues of Votan, but the last trailer for the game didn't have Leagues of Votan in it, so I don't know where they're going to be, sitting on that. But that was the Games Workshop policy, right? Don't fully recreate a tabletop game we are currently publishing. The first Mechanicus had a Sister of Battle DLC. No, that one never had Mechanicus never had faction DLCs. It had a DLC that added some units. It added some enemies. It added Zenorite Admech, I think, as an adversarial faction, but you can't play as them. But it never added more playable factions. The one that added Sisters of Battle DLC was what do you call it? That was I was just talking about it. Battle Sector. That was Battle Sector. But right, so that's kind of the thing. They don't release all of the what do you call it? They don't release too many factions in a given game because they don't want the game interfering with miniature sales, right? And the exceptions have always been the games they don't print anymore. Like I point out Battlefleet Gothic Armada 2, Total Warhammer 3, Total Fit. What do you call it? I mean, okay, as an example, now let's compare. Let's compare. Oh, that's a tiny ass image. I hope that'll work. Oh, that is a tiny ass image, but it does still kind of illustrate my point. How in Total War Warhammer or the Total War Warhammer games, this is the entirety of Warhammer Fantasy, like the original Warhammer Fantasy that ever existed. This game represents the entirety of Warhammer Fantasy. Like you can just play every faction just about from all of the history of Warhammer Fantasy in this game. I think the sole exception is Chaos Dwarves. You can't play Chaos Dwarves, and that's basically it. It's the only one that doesn't show up. But they also have Vampire Coasts, who I want to say is an entirely original faction. Like, they made that up for Total War Warhammer Fantasy, you know? Oh, one moment. I'm yapping my throat dry here. I gotta pour a drink. Oh, you're thinking of Inquisitor Martyr. Okay, yeah. No, yeah. That's that one's an action RPG. That's why I'm not bringing that one up in this. This is mainly a thing with the strategy games. But right. So the games they don't publish anymore, and I know they came out with the Old World. But again, that's kind of there's a technicality with the Old World because Warhammer Fantasy was one of their mainline games. And then they saw how much Total War Warhammer was, making, hella money, be as popular as it is. Realized they fucked up with Ginger Blades. Thank you for the follow. Welcome to Crusade. But they saw how Total War Warhammer was selling like hotcakes. They were like, "Oh shit, we killed a setting with a lot of potential for Age of Sigmar, which doesn't fucking sell." And I'll point out, by the way, the Age of Sigmar strategy game they came out with only had 3 factions as well, out of everything in that setting. So this counts for Age of Sigmar too, not just 40K. So yeah, they brought back the Old World, but as far as CA, Creative Assembly was concerned, with their deal with a Games Workshop, they could publish all these factions because at the time they were publishing a dead game. So they weren't stepping on Games Workshop's toes anymore. It only really became an exception to the rule when Games Workshop decided to bring the Old World back. Chaos Dwarves have a kinda list in the Old World, but it's not official. Yeah. And that is kind of funny that I want to say it's effectively all but admitted now that the main driver right now of Age of Sigmar sales is minis for the Old World, that people are just slapping on square bases and using in the Old World. That is hilarious to me. And the thing is too, and this is something I want to say Northern Exile reported on this. The Old World competitive tournament scene is totally okay with using the Legends lists that Games Workshop won't make minis for anymore, and basically told GW to pound sand over it. Like, yeah, no. We know you're not supposed to use the Legends lists in official tournaments. We don't care. Go fuck yourself. Like they told GW that, which is actually based as hell. The Old World and Horus Heresy tournament scenes are actually really chill. Which, me saying that, as critical as I am of the 40K and Age of Sigmar competitive scenes, that's high praise coming from me. It's funny how they brought Old World back, and in one article about it, they were warning fans this didn't mean they were retconning the end times, but you could tell they were angry we didn't move on. Yeah. Honestly, the fact they're doing end times now in Total War Warhammer is just like, Games Workshop still hasn't fucking learned that nobody likes Age of Sigmar. But right. So, main point. We've got, these strategy games. And it all trends toward the fact that unless a game is no longer in print, Games Workshop will not allow you to publish all the factions, right? But now we have to cycle back. That's not where we're cycling back to. Here's where we're cycling back to. So we've got Battle Sector now, moving into 9 playable factions. And now, but But it doesn't end there. It doesn't end there. You know, it starts going deeper because we've also got coming out now Dawn of War 4. Dawn of War 4 is on its way. And, you know, it's launching with Space Marines, you know, Blood Ravens. It's launching with Necrons, AdMech, Orcs. They've already shown that another launch faction is going to be the Dark Angels with their Primarch. And preview footage has all but confirmed that what do you call it? Preview footage has all but confirmed that fucking Imperial Guard is also in the game already and basically ready to go. So we will probably be getting Imperial Guard as well. And this also cycles back to the what do you call it? The roadmap here, because now, you know, Battle Sector launched with you know, Blood Angels, right? Blood Angels were the base faction. But now they're adding Ultramarines. So now we're seeing a trend in these games where they're not only adding, you know, they're not only having their Space Marine representation, they're perfectly willing to add more Space Marine chapters, like specific chapters, like representing unique play styles with Space Marines. Not just like, you know, oh, we've got our Space Marines, recolor them how you wish. No, they want actual, like, okay, we've got Blood Angels with Sanguinary Guard. Next, we're going to have, in Battle Sector, we're going to have Ultramarines with, you know, it'd probably be like, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if, like, say, Vitrix Guard were available and playable. And then over on Dawn of War 4, we've not only got, you know, Blood Ravens being like, you know, representing generic Space Marines. We've not only got them representing, like, the generic Space Marines, but we've got the Dark Angels with, you know, we've got the Dark Angels happening with, let me find a picture of the boy. Hold on. You know, we've got here we go. Here's a good picture of him. We've got the Dark Angel showing up with the fucking lion. So yeah. Thoughts on Tacticus? Seems like absolute ass. Tacticus is ass. It's a mobile slop game. It's a mobile slop game. I don't recommend it. But yeah, so we've got Dawn of War 4 also now with 2 Space Marine factions. And they're having literally the main character of that faction, the Lion, the Primarch of the Dark Angel showing up. Now that's huge. But even more than that, you know, going on now, we've also got this happening as well. Got a Total War Warhammer 40K happening now. And we know at launch it's going to be, you know, well, okay, you'll be able to customize them in your game, but the main character Space Marine faction is the Ultramarines. And it's also going to have Orcs, Eldar, and Imperial Guard. If you think they won't release more factions for this as DLC, you know, I've got a bridge in Brooklyn I can sell you. If they don't, I'll eat my hat. And as I love to say, I don't own a hat. I'll fucking buy a hat. I will eat that hat with ketchup, probably mustard. But yeah, no, they are absolutely going to monetize the hell out of this with DLCs. And I would not be surprised if by the time the life cycle of this game is over, every single 40K faction will be represented Not only in this, but I also think in Dawn of War 4, and also in Battle Sector. I think they're going to fully represent the 40K roster in multiple games. Like, I fully believe they're going to do that now. And again, Games Workshop was always like, we don't want to represent everything in 40K because we don't want to hurt model sales. So, what changed? What is it? What is changing? Why is Games Workshop doing this? I think they're quitting tabletop. I genuinely think they're going to quit tabletop. They're not going to okay, and like I said at the beginning, if they're not, going to quit entirely, they're going to dial it back. They're going to dial back their output into tabletop, their how much they release. I think that is what they're going to do now. And I think that is coming up, that is going to begin happening soon, actually. I think we're going to begin seeing that happen very soon. As early as 11th edition, I fully believe. One moment. Yeah, I think that's going to happen very soon. And I think, starting with 11th, because we know 11th edition is not going to be a rules reset. It's going to be it's going to be closer to a 10.5. It's not going to be a full it's going to be like a more standard new edition. It's not going to be like how, 9th and 8th, 9th, and especially 10th were, especially 8th and 10th. Less so 9th, but more 8th and 10th, where everything was rendered completely obsolete and you had to completely rebuy your codexes. They've already said that 11th edition will not be like that. It's going to be closer to a 10.5. And we're going to have a 3-minute ad break starting in about 20 seconds here. I don't want any of y'all to miss out on the discussion. So when the countdown on the ad break hits 0, I'm gonna go AFK. When the ad break ends, I will be back. So everyone, hold on. I will be back. I don't want anyone who's not subscribed on Twitch to miss out. So I will be back, everyone. Hold on to your butts.
Out there, yes, clear. Loud and clear. Pacific. 2423 live, we'll get them all station. On the intercom. C7? Yes, ma'am, we'll be clear, and 233 will be clear on N4. E. Edward, and 2 will both be a 50. 224, I was going out there. 233 will be clear on N4. And 2 will both be a 50. Out there, yes, clear. Loud and clear. Pacific. 2423 live, we'll get them all station. On the intercom. C7? Yes, ma'am, we'll be clear, and 233 will be clear on N4. E. Edward, and 2 will both be a 50. 224, I was going out there. 233 will be clear on N4. And 2 will both be a 50. Out there, yes, clear. Loud and clear. Pacific. 2423 live, we'll get them all station. On the intercom. C7? Yes, ma'am, we'll be clear, and 233 will be clear on N4. E. Edward, and 2 will both be a 50. 224, I was going out there. 233 will be clear on N4. clear. In the suspicious citizen. 2423 live. We'll get them all to station. America. C7? Yes, ma'am. We'll be clear, and 233 will be clear on it, and for E. Edward, and so we both be a 50. 224, I was going out there. 233 will be clear on it, and for E. Edward, and so we both be a 50. Radio is between Henry Blackwell. Send the signal to 7. Would you stop there? Yes, clear. Loud, clear. In the suspicious citizen. 2423 live. We'll get them all to station. America. C7? Yes, ma'am. We'll be clear, and 233 will be clear on it, and for E. Edward, and so we both be a 50. 224, I was going out there. 233 will be clear on it, and for E. Edward, and so we both be a 50. Radio is between Henry Blackwell. Send the signal to 7. Would you stop there? Yes, clear. Loud, clear. In the suspicious citizen. 2423 live. We'll get them all to station. America. C7? Yes, ma'am. We'll be clear, and 233 will be clear on it, and for E. Edward, and so we both be a 50. 224, I was going out there. 233 will be clear on it, and for E. Edward, and so we both be a 50.
Okay, sorry about that, everyone. I am sorry. I'm really sorry about that. I didn't want anyone to miss out on the app because I'm really in the middle of it right now. But right, yeah. So where was I? Right. So the key point in all this, Games Workshop is quitting tabletop. Now, hey, MechTech, how you doing? So yeah, they're quitting tabletop. We talk about the evidence that is Dawn of War 4, Battle Sector, and Total War, Warhammer 40K. They're releasing a lot of strategy games, and they're going into details, like they're going with release cycles for content for these. Like we know Total War Warhammer 40K is gonna have a lot of faction DLC. I wouldn't be surprised if it has all the factions at some point, including things like Space Marine sub-factions. Dawn of War 4 is already going to have Space Marine sub-factions at launch with Blood Ravens and Dark Angels, including having the Lionel Johnson be present. And Battle Sector has been chugging right along, adding more and more and more factions. And now they're adding their second Loyalist Space Marine faction next year, which is the Ultramarines. So, yeah, they're adding, more. They're gradually, apparently, getting over their rampant phobia of having all the factions represented on from tabletop in their video games, right? So, why do I think this is a sign that they're going to quit tabletop? Well, like I was saying before the ad break over on the Twitch end of things, 11th edition is coming soon, right? We know based on all the rumors, it's not going to be a full rules revamp. It's going to be more of a 10.5. It's not going to be a big update. It's just going to be like minor revisions here and there, an excuse to make you buy another main rule book. But from what we understand, there may not immediately be codex updates this time around. There may not immediately be codex updates with 11th edition, because from what I gather, from what the rumors say, there's not going to be a lot of rules revamps. A lot of what is already out in the codexes is going to be perfectly fine going into 11th. Like it's not going to be like other editions where, you know, like even like 9th edition where there were enough rules changes that when they cycled codexes, it put the unupdated codexes at a severe advantage. This is also similar to how it used to work with Warhammer 40K. For those who don't remember, this is like, and I know for a lot of you, this might be the before time, right? So they used to not always get, codexes didn't always get updates. Actually, there's a stellar example with one faction. Let me look this up. I'm trying to find the list of like let's see. Okay, right there. Like on Lexicanum, right? Like this is Codex Dark Eldar, right? Now you'll notice the first edition or the Dark Eldar Codex, this edition of it released in it released in 3rd edition, right? Look at the followed by 5th edition. They didn't get a new codex for 2 editions. Or it took them 2 editions to get a new codex. They got their codex in 3rd. They didn't get a new codex until 5th. And I think Games Workshop is going to start doing that because believe me when I say the complaints of, especially from like say Guard and Leagues of Votann players in 9th were incredibly loud. Like they got their codex and then 5 minutes later their codex was useless. And here's another fun part, fun thing to understand. Games Workshop gets its Games Workshop has to enter a 2-year update cycle for its primary games because of the expense of publishing rulebooks. Publishing rulebooks is from what I understand their thinnest profit margin because a lot of their printing is done overseas. They do not print their own books. China prints their books. Like they get all their, from what I understand, they get all their books printed in China and then they ship them all over here. Like I remember, there was actually a delay. There was actually a 40K release delayed 1 year, or a bunch of the codexes didn't make it because I want to say it was Death Guard, literally because the books, like the cargo containers with all the Death Guard books, slid into the fucking ocean off the cargo container when they were being shipped outside of China. And I want to say the Suez Canal incident also delayed a book release because all the books from China were stuck in the Suez Canal waiting for the Ever Given to be pried out of the canal and stop clogging it. I may be getting like two separate instances confused, but I distinctly remember that. It was like I want to say it was Death Guard that was delayed. It was Death Guard delayed, like the Death Guard books were delayed, like the rule books were delayed from getting from China to the rest of the world because of like, it was either because literally a storm knocked all the shipping containers into the fucking ocean, or because it got clogged up in the Suez. And yeah, Games Workshop does not publish their own books. That is China that does that for them. Rather infamously, the what do you call it? The Cursed City, the Cursed City game for Age of Sigmar. Oh, where was that? Hold on. Warhammer. Let me look this up. Warhammer Quest Cursed City. In fact, the Lexicanum article might actually cite the incident I'm talking about, but I want to. Here it is. Not a lot of images. contents. Does it list the miniatures? Oh, well, they actually released. Man, I had no idea they released an expansion for Curse City. Huh. But we had 2 ships of a similar name stuck there, or was it just the same ship 2 times? I don't think the same ship got stuck twice. I think it was the Ever Given was the one that was stuck most recently, a year or 2 back. It's like BattleTech and their minis, rip Ironwind medals. I only knew you for 2 seconds before getting bought by CGL. Yeah. Those really shitty BattleTech minis that they release. Oh man, I feel so sorry for BattleTech fans and the absolute garbage that they release. Like those gross melted looking what do you call it? Power armor. Can I find pictures? Am I gonna be able to find pictures of that? Yeah, here we go. Look at that. Look at that shit. Look at that gross looking shit. Look at that. Look at that. That's the quality of the minis from the Kickstarter campaigns that people put in for BattleTech. That's what like CGL has to beg for money for all their fucking releases. And then when they finally have enough money to do a release without begging for money, they give you BattleTech fucking Gothic. Like, holy shit, dude. Ew. Ugh. Yeah, I agree. Oh, man. Wait, hold on. Why is... No, something's not right. Why is it just me, or is chat not been showing up? Oh my fucking God. Hold on. Somebody type something real quick. It's still not showing up. What the heck? What the shit? Yeah, why? Okay, I don't know why. My chat box is not showing up here. I am sorry, everyone. I just noticed that now. I don't know what's going on there. I really don't. But yeah. I will have to fix that at some point. I don't know why chat is not showing up. Showing up there. Okay, now it's showing up. What the shit? Very evidently very scuff. You're talking about CGL or Catalyst Game Labs' scuff, not my scuff. Well, listen, I'm scuffed. I'm always scuffed. Let's be real. But yeah, nah, man. Well, okay, yeah, the chat just isn't updating now. What the shit? Okay, I think something's going on over on Restream's end. I don't know why the chat isn't showing up. Damn. Okay. I'll fiddle with this while I'm chatting. But yeah. Nah, man. Fucking CG, I feel so sorry for the CGL people. Well, not the CGL people, the BattleTech fans. But I also kind of can't really get too blame happy on them because I'm just gonna hide that. Okay, is it working? Wait, is it working yet? Is it working yet? Is it gonna fade after 20 seconds like it's supposed to? Finally, it's working again. Okay, I don't know what was up there. But yeah, no, it's like on the one hand, I can't like on the one hand, I do blame Catalyst Game Labs a lot for this level of quality control. But I also blame the Battletech fans who stick with Catalyst Game Labs and keep shoveling money at them every time there's a Kickstarter campaign because every time, you know, they're aware this is the quality, but they'll keep giving Catalyst Game Labs the money they beg for. Like, oh my God. Still, yeah. But the main point is Games Workshop. They get all their books from China, right? They make honestly probably it's kind of a toss up whether the minis or the books are their thinnest profit margin. I would say it's probably the books because I would argue most people who buy Warhammer minis, I would say more people buy minis than actually play Tabletop. More people buy minis than play Tabletop. So, yeah, like I would argue okay, Games Workshop miniature profit margins are thin. Like they are thin, don't get me wrong, because don't let people who tell you that Games Workshop, is making very heavy profit margins off their minis fool you. They are not. They are not. They have to design the minis, make the molds, install the molds in the factories, build and maintain the factories. They have to pay everyone working in the factories. They have to pay their artists. They have to pay their everyone. They have paying people, maintaining the factories. And the factories are shit. Games Workshop factories are shit. I want to say Arch has gone over it. He's talked with people on the inside about the absolute state of Games Workshop's factories. And I want to say the most recent factory, they were also working on it for years before they finally got it open due to all kinds of bullshit that was going on. It was like some kind of like British regulatory stuff. And then they finally got it running. And now they want to build another factory after the bullshit they went through with that one. Because believe me when I say the reason Games Workshop has trouble upkeeping their stock a lot is because of the sorry state of their factories. They don't use a lot of automation, from what I've been told. They do not use a lot of automation. A lot of it is manual labor. And when, by all rights, they should be using automation, not only for technological reasons, but safety reasons. So they are absolutely, their profit margins off minis are thin. And I would say the fact that, during the COVID boom, the COVID hobby boom, people were getting into hobbying a lot more because they had nothing to do, was absolutely helping. But that's not going to last forever, especially because a lot of the people, the tourist types, aren't really spending all that much money on Warhammer. They're not Warhammer fans. You cannot rely on them to be whales for you. And this is, hey Jay, how you doing? Is this a New Year's prank or are you serious? I am schizo posting right now, Jay. I'm going full Alex Jones schizo mode about where Games Workshop is headed. Also, hello Jay, how you doing? But so their profit margins off of minis are thin. I'd argue the profit margins off of books are even thinner. I would also argue that is part of what promotes the 2-year update cycle they've been going through for Warhammer Warhammer 40K, for the rules. Because it's like, what is it? 6th edition was like a little over a year. That was the shortest edition ever because 6th edition was fucking awful. 7th edition was, I want to say, about 2-3 years. 8th, 9th, and 10th have all been 2 years. I don't know how long 11th will last, but if they will absolutely do the smallest of updates to require you to buy new rulebooks. But Games Workshop in post-COVID, and this is something I think a lot of people don't want to notice about Games Workshop, is it going full Kirsch? Listen, Adam Fire. I've always been full Kirsch. I may not be this way about politics. I am absolutely this way about the entertainment stuff I'm into. But if you're going full Alex Jones, then you either gotta do the gay frogs, Trump and goblins, or the Bill Gates and his metal pecker. Listen, man. I'm just tired of the demons putting emotions into the warp that are turning the frickin' Necrons gay. All right. Let me smack my desk a few times and say it's crap. Oh wait, no. I'm tired of them I'm tired of the demonettes putting emotions into the warp that are turning the fucking Custodes female. There we go. That's the one. That's the joke. Yeah, that's the joke right there. Oh boy. Don't get me started on that clusterfuck. But we're actually the female Custodes thing is gonna get brought up later, guys, by the way. That'll probably be the topic we bring up before we move on to Trench Crusade tonight. But yeah. The gay frogs was at least a real theory that the government wanted to it. Well, I mean, yeah, no, it was also the fact that it was industrial chemical runoffs forcing the frogs to, feminize, kick in their, what do you call it? Their, what's the term for it? Their sequential hermaphrodism and turn female. So yeah, Alex Jones was right about that. Alex Jones is right an uncomfortable number of times, and that should be concerning to me. You don't think I'm going full Kirsch? I'm still popular with the trans audience. Okay, Jay, listen, okay. I know you mean well. I have seen the pictures that confirm that I've got a red name on Shinigami eyes, so no, I am not popular with the trans audience. Even though I'm unironically not transphobic and I'm friends with trans people, I'm not popular with the transgender audience. Believe me, I'm fully aware of that. Listen, they can believe whatever the hell they want. I know what I'm about. All right. Yeah. So yeah. Right. So profit margins. Thin profit margins off of minis. Thinner profit margins, I would wager off of books, because of the fact that Games Workshop can't produce them themselves and are paying somebody else, specifically China. And as we all know, China will absolutely nickel and dime you on everything, okay? So it wouldn't surprise me if Games Workshop would be totally okay with dialing back tabletop, their presence in tabletop, strictly off the fact they wouldn't have to produce as many, new editions just to keep the profit margins at the same level with, in regards to rules. They will probably not dial back mini production because they can very easily get into the Gunpla-esque business of, selling minis just to people who want to build the minis, So that's something I absolutely see as part of this. They're not going to stop producing minis. They're going to keep producing minis. I firmly believe that because, they will want to sell to hobbyists still because they probably make a wider profit margin off of minis just because minis aren't strictly game related. Like, people collect minis just to collect. That's what I do. I play on Tabletop Simulator, and then I collect the minis just to collect the minis. So quitting mini production, I don't see that happening. I see the game portion dialing back. Probably the frequency of additions, the frequency of codex updates. And here's the thing people don't comment on about the state of 40K. Well, some people have commented on it inadvertently, but they've commented on it in the fact that, as the editions have gone on since 8th, they've started catering more and more and more to the competitive scene. The entirety of 10th edition, all of the changes in 10th edition were strictly to pander to the competitive scene. It was not designed with like your in mind. It was not designed with your casual beer and pretzels, you know, guys in their game room or at the hobby store playing 40K together. It was not designed with them in mind. The loss of granularity in, you know, unit choices, you know, free free upgrades. The only thing you really pay for points wise is adding more models, stuff like that. You know, that was absolutely competitive focused. That was a competitive focused change. Fuck you, Shanka. Fuck you. I'm okay. I'm okay. It's better be Alex Jones, the supposed right-wing book-selling grifter YouTuber that claims he's Christian yet tweets gay furry art with Lucario's blue ass hanging out. Hey, listen, Chase, listen. You may not want to say his name. I'll just say John De La Rosa's name. We all know what. Listen, I may be a gay right-wing Catholic, you know, which I realize to some people is a contradiction, but at least I'm honest about it. You know, at least I come out and fucking say it, and I'm not on fucking Twitter saying like, oh, Christ is Lord, ban porn, while, you know, we've got his post history of the gay Lucario porn. All right. John De La Rosa is embarrassing about it. Yeah. Listen, nobody would care if he was just upfront. You know, nobody would care. Listen, nobody cares what he spanks it to, all right? It's like the Tectone thing with Tectone sliding into my DMs telling me not to bring up the fact that he spanks at the Lolicon or spanks at the Lolly, you know? Him sliding into my DMs saying that, people I know follow you and listen to what you say. Don't talk about it. It's like, bro, nobody cares. Nobody really cares. You make it a big deal. And nobody would make it a big deal if you didn't make it a big deal. And the same goes for John De La Rosa and his fucking history of spanking it to gay Lucario porn, okay? And and My Little Pony stuff, because he spanked it to that too. Nobody would care if you just owned it and be like, yeah, I did. What of it? I mean, shit. I got people joking about the fact I slide into the replies of femboys on Twitter. It's like, yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. I do it. So fucking what? I know what I'm about. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. You shouldn't give a fuck. Nobody cares but you. But still, okay. I'm sorry for the tangent, but yeah, right. So, that's part Games Workshop and profit margins. I think, again, primarily, I think they're trying to do this because they've got themselves into a corner now with competitive Warhammer where, and this is the part, again, people pointed this out, that they're pandering to the competitive scene. But I think the part that they're missing is why they're doing it, because Games Workshop has always said they make minis first and the game second. But you know what? Do you know what changed? Whales. Whales happened. Games Workshop changed because of whales. Because here's the thing, as the COVID hobby boom cooled off, so did sales. Naturally, sales would cool off. How do you keep sales going? It's very simple. You keep the people who have no choice but to play Warhammer, buying Warhammer. What, like, hobbyists will always buy minis at a very casual pace, but when you make your livelihood playing Warhammer, when you make your livelihood tournaments, then as rules change, as new editions come out, you don't have a choice but to change things up, right? You don't have a choice but to drop $500, $600, $700, $800, $1,000 on Warhammer. Wales mentioned, absolutely. Wait, hold on. No, not Wales. Not Wales. The fuck. What would you even call Wales within the UK? A country, a province, a region. I'm not beans on toast. So I don't know how to, I don't know how to like parse what Wales is as a place. But yeah, so yeah, it is absolutely the tournament scenes. It is absolutely the tournament scenes that they're pandering to right now. Like these, like let's bring up okay, Facebook, you gonna fuck me, or are you actually gonna bring up the image? They actually brought up the image. Wow. Okay. Wow. Okay. So they actually brought up the image on the first go. So one moment, everyone. Okay, look at this. Okay. This is this is a screen cap of the London Grand Tournament. Look at this. Look at this hall full of people playing 40K on a professional scene. Now, don't get me wrong. More people play 40K casually. You see so many women. Oh, okay, philosopher. That's a whole topic in its own right. But yeah, no. That's a whole other topic. It's a whole other topic. We'll get into that in a little bit. But the main point is that yeah, there are more people who play 40K casually than competitively. The casual market will always dominate, in terms of number of players. That is not like, that's objective. That's not like just because I'm a casual player. I could be a casual player or a professional player. It wouldn't matter. That's just how things are. There will always be more people who play casually, but casual players spend casually. That's the main point. Casual players spend money casually. They don't they are not, they're perfectly okay with playing with say unpainted minis on a minis that aren't fully assembled yet. If they've got the torso on the base or don't have all the weapons ready on their tank and they really want to use it this week at the game store, they spend casually. They play casually, they spend casually. There's fewer whales, but whales are required to follow certain rules to participate, and that includes assembly and painting. Games Workshop has largely gone back on kit bashing, they don't like it when you kit bash anymore. There were tournaments where people brought in 3D printed minis and they put the kibosh on that. And they also put the kibosh more and more on kit bashing for the competitive scene. And what Games Workshop realized is if they wanted to survive the post-COVID boom at the same levels of profit that they were getting during COVID, when lots of bored people with nothing better to do were buying Warhammer minis that never bought them before, what they realized they had to lean on was the competitive market. They had to lean on the competitive players. So what they started doing was tuning 40K and Age of Sigmar. Well, Age of Sigmar was already a little more built around it, but mostly because Age of Sigmar was just kind of dog shit in design and didn't have much going for it as a game. So it was easier to shift toward this than 40K, which was a much more, in the 7th edition days. Compare 7th edition to 8th edition, and you'll see what I mean. in terms of like how complex 40K was in terms of like rules, like with shit like armor facing and all that. But yeah, 40K was much more complex, and they had to spend a couple of years, a couple of editions adapting it to the tournament scene. I don't think they set out to do this directly. I think when 8th edition came out, they were just trying to make it a more accessible game. Like, rather than like, you know, pivot it toward the tournament scene. But I also think as they realized this post-COVID boom wasn't going to last forever, they began tuning 40K more and more to the competitive scene, because what they can do is minorly tweak army lists. Like, the most minor tweak to an army list, they just got a competitive player to spend a couple $100. And they will spend a couple $100. The competitive players are the whales of Warhammer 40K. They will spend, and Age of Sigmar, less so Horus Heresy and Old World. But again, that's because they're way more chill about it than for the 40K and AOS scene. You know, the competitive scenes for those two games are incredibly chill. But the 40K and AOS scene, absolutely, a competitive player will drop $200-300 on a minor rule change if they have to. Like, they will absolutely do that, like, in order to tailor their list to be the perfect meta list for that army, you know? Or they'll just straight up change armies. Like, don't get me wrong. There are absolutely 40K players out there who will completely change armies. They will buy a brand new army. Like the moment a balanced data slate drops, they will spend thousands on an army. And to get that shit ready to go for the next tournament, they do that. They are not casual about how much money they put into Warhammer 40K. And honestly, I feel, what's this? Another factor is them chasing the repeat of Space Marine 2. I talked to someone at a Warhammer store saying how that game brought in new players. Oh no, absolutely. Okay, we're gonna get to that in a little bit, Satellite Cannon, because this is all angling toward the video games. Believe it or not, this is absolutely angling toward the video game factor. Didn't I report in a video a while back, there's people inside GW that are pushing for the old stuff to take a bigger priority again, or something like that? Right, yeah, that's the that is the Civil War within Games Workshop. I don't know what the details are on that right now, but that was like a thing going on where it was very clear within Games Workshop there is a civil war of sorts going on about where to take the games. And it looks like it's pretty much a dividing line between a lot of the old heads who are working on Horus Heresy in the Old World, and a lot of newer designers that are working on 40K and AOS. A major factor of this is the fact that the AOS team at Games Workshop are incredibly petty about the Old World. They hate the Old World. It was them who pushed. I want to say they were originally going to do make it official that you could just put certain AOS minis on square bases and use them in the Old World to represent factions like, you know, Lizard Men, you know, Chaos Dwarves. Well, Chaos Dwarves now. We didn't know they were going to release Chaos Dwarves for AOS, but that would have been part of the planning going that far back. Or, you know, Skaven and all that. Like, they were going to have that be an option. But then the AOS team, being incredibly bitter about it, were like, you can't do that. One mini, one system. So now we've got this thing that, you know, they moved a bunch of lists for Old World to Legends. And then on top of that, it also ended up, you know, I want to say, I would fully believe that the Horus Heresy team was batting for the side of the Old World team as well, because Horus Heresy got affected by that as well. The one mini one rule system thing is why you know, the one mini one rule system thing that Games Workshop adopted is why Horus Heresy minis can't be used in 40K anymore. You know, why you can't have, you know, Horus Heresy dreadnoughts and tanks and all that stuff. That's why you can't do that. And why the sole exception is Imperial Knights and Talons of the Emperor. Because half the Talons of the Emperor army list is behind AOS, and Knights make Games Workshop too much money for the corporate part to agree to allow the Horus Heresy Knights to not be in 40K. Why do they get rid of Beastmen and AOS? That cuts into this actually. Basically because I guess the Old World team successfully argued to getting Beasts of Chaos in the Old World, and because of the system that the AOS team implemented, that meant that you couldn't have Beasts of Chaos in Age of Sigmar anymore. So the whole faction just disappeared overnight, and Games Workshop tried to memory hole the fact. They got this big update at the end of the previous edition of AOS saying the Beastmen were going to be the primary threat, with Kragnos leading them as the new god unit for the Beastmen of Chaos. And then they just quietly shuffled Kragnos into the Sons of Behemat list, despite him not being related to the Sons of Behemat, because the Sons of Behemat worship Behemat, their dead god. So, yeah. That's that, basically. But yeah, no, this is all of this, you know, is based around the tournament scene. And it's also based around the fact, like, and this factors into it, that, you know, the whole thing with one mini, one rule system. Because I would say a major convincing factor what got the Games Workshop CEOs to, you know, the corporate people to adopt that would be the fact that it's easier to balance. You know, it's easier to balance in a tournament scene. So that was probably a factor. So yeah, that's why Games Workshop is leaning so hard into competitive. They can milk more money more consistently out of the professional players of the tournament scene. The competitive Warhammer scene. They can milk more money more often out of them with the most minor change in rules. And now, how does this lead into them getting, moving away from tabletop gaming? Well, it's very simple. They can begin to minimize production of new rules, focus on updates with drastic balance changes to promote whales, and basically endure this period where the COVID boom has dropped off, but keep profits up strictly off the tournament players. So now, how do the 40K video games factor into this? Well, it's very simple. Games Workshop has made a ton of money, and I mean a ton of money, off licensing. It used to be kind of a thing where, I don't know if you, I need to find, because this was a thing that existed, and I need to find a picture of it, probably to prove to a lot of you that it even existed, and that I'm not crazy. So, hold on. That's not it. Shit, where can I find, man, are there? Okay, you know what? Hold on, everyone.
Hey guys.
Okay. We're going to shift gears a little bit. I'm going to I want to show you this to prove it exists. All right. I want to this is like some dude's 10-year-old YouTube video. I just want to prove, I want to prove to you this exists. There was a Warhammer 40,000 MOBA. There was a Warhammer 40,000 MOBA. You know, like League of Legends and Dota. That actually existed. It was called Dark Nexus Arena. I'm just gonna, I'm gonna put the the gameplay on, because again, I know probably a bunch of you would not believe me if I said this was a thing that existed. There it is. That's a Warhammer 40k MOBA that used to exist. It was called Dark Nexus Arena. And yeah, this was a thing. It was kind of a thing okay, when Games Workshop first, popped off with video games with Dawn of War, they were still under Tom Kirby, the previous CEO. And basically, Kirby's strategy with video games was to shotgun the 40k license all over the place to anyone who would pick up, the license. I mean, anyone. And we got some dog shit video games out of that. Like this game, from what I understand, this game, Dark Nexus Arena, was not very good. It did not do well at all. I want to say kind of fell on its face and died in less
Call
than
in the reinforcements.
Oh, hey, Denzel. Thank you for the raid. Welcome, Raiders. For those who've never been here, I'll introduce myself. I am Marco Bohemond, a totally legally distinct Space Marine and Space Crusader. And yeah, hello there. I will give you a shout out. Hold on. Denzel Jones. There we go. Yeah, go follow Denzel. He's cool people. But where was I? Oh yeah, but by the way, Denzel, I get if you got a raid and run, go, take a shower, eat something, etc. If not, if you want to stay anyway, that's cool. Happy to have you here. We're talking about we've been talking about Total War 40K. Yeah, we brought that up. That's gonna re-enter the topic soon here. I got this video playing of I shit you not, a Warhammer 40k MOBA called Dark Nexus Arena that used to exist. Because I'm illustrating a point about 40k and licensing. So yeah, Dawn of War popped off, 3 expansions, sold like hotcakes, 3 expansions, brought in a ton of new players, right? So Tom Kirby is like, all right, 40k video games. If you want to make a 40k video game, I don't care how good your proposal is. We'll give you the license. We're giving that shit away. And for a long time, there were a lot of absolute dog water 40k video games. Some of the worst dog shit you've ever imagined. Dark Nexus Arena was one of those. We got a bunch of mobile slop games that fell right on their face. We got what do you call it? Oh fuck, what was that one with the Imperial Knights? Freeblade. Freeblade came from that. Yeah. So basically, yeah, Kirby just Kirby just shotgunned the license to anyone who would with a proposal. And we got a lot of really bad video games out of it. The Eternal Crusade was one of those, by the way. Given to they gave the 40k license to Behavior Interactive, who made like fucking baby games for toddlers, or something like that, before they before suddenly wanting to make a fucking 40k Planet Side and then fucking failing at it. But yeah, so what ended up happening though was they, when Kirby was ousted as CEO by, Roundtree, the current CEO, they changed their policy on 40K video games and became more discerning with handing out the license. And that was when, the video games started getting good again. We started, Total War Warhammer, Space Marine 2. We had we had some flops, but like not as many and not as consistently as the Kirby era of just giving anyone the license. But you still have Freeblade installed. But the thing is, Violent City is that Freeblade is like absolutely a microtransaction focused mobile game. But as somebody who likes the old fashioned on rails shooters of the Elden days, I actually kind of liked it. It's actually kind of fun. I will fully admit that. I want to say it's still playable. I want to say, but again, it is very heavily microtransaction focused, so that's a turnoff. But it was. I still thought it was fun. I played Firewar on PS2 when I was a kid, before I even knew what Warhammer actually was, and I just thought the Tau were robot people, and that's what got me interested. Understandable. Fire Warrior is absolutely in the realm of games that flopped, but so you went from tons of shotgunned out license flops to, focusing more on actual professional game devs or game devs with an actual, a vision and a plan, rather than, just any mom and pop or mobile developer who wants to make a 40K game just to coast off the license. And we started getting better 40K games, but the main point is Games Workshop learned a lesson. Mr. Personality, thank you for the follow. Welcome to Crusade. Yeah, Games Workshop learned an important lesson. There is tons of free money in licensing. And this is what is pushing Games Workshop to dial back, if not outright quit, potentially, mind you. They won't absolutely quit, but they're absolutely going to dial back the tabletop gaming aspect. It was the licensing that taught them this. Because Games Workshop does not want Warhammer to be a tabletop game. They want Warhammer to be a multimedia empire in the same realm as what Star Wars was, where Star Wars literally dominated anything it stepped into. Movies, books, well, obviously movies, but books, games, RPGs, tabletop games. Remember when the Star Wars tabletop game came out in like 2016 and completely shit mixed Warhammer and sales, pushing it off the top, pushing it into like the top, down from like the number 1 to number 3? I remember that. Both the top games were the Star Wars minis games. I remember that. Dialing back the literal money printer that's the miniatures is wild to me. Okay. Denzel, I'll get you a little caught up. I pointed that out earlier. They're not going to dial back miniatures. They'll probably begin to focus on the hobby aspect of the miniatures, like in a similar way to, like, say how Bandai Namco does with Gunpla. I could see that happening. I absolutely see that happening. They would not get rid of all those factories and everything to do this. They wouldn't do that, believe me, but they would absolutely dial back the publishing cadence of their tabletop games. And as they begin to focus on licensing and multimedia, they begin to move away from gaming as their primary focus. Because as much as Games Workshop says we're not a gaming company, we're not a tabletop gaming company, we're a miniatures company. That's a cope. They've been a tabletop gaming company, even if they don't want to admit it. But the way I see it, they're absolutely going to dial that back, because they can earn more basically free money off licensing 40K to game developers and off of, movies. Because remember, they had no interest in, they were completely convinced that all they needed to do for, like television, television for 40K was start their own streaming service, and that fell on its face. Like, who actually, like, okay, and listen, I say I'm a hypocrite in this regard because I do have a Warhammer I am subscribed to Warhammer Plus because I fat-fingered a year-long subscription when all I wanted was 1 month. And I'm still embarrassed about that, but, you know, yeah. It's like the subscriber numbers for like Warhammer Plus is something like 200,000 people. It's tiny. They put more money into Warhammer Plus than they get out of it. They are absolutely, bruh. Absolutely no. Denzel, I will not stop you from laughing at me about that. I deserve to be laughed at about that. I deserve that clown fool, that clown shoes status for that fuck up. I deserve that. Listen, as a guy with still half a year on his Warhammer Plus account, don't get Warhammer Plus. Don't be me, all right? Don't be me. Don't fuck up like I did, all right? But 40K could be its own genre if they go all out. Yeah, well, yeah, Violent City. That's absolutely what they're planning. That's what they're planning. That's why they want to dial back on tabletop gaming the way they are, because there's more money in licensing. Like you can basically like, license 40K out to someone like Saber Interactive, who have to pay up front to do that. And then we're going to pause this now. They have to pay up front to do that. And then on top of that, you also get some of the money for the sales. It's basically free money. And that's what 40K wants to do. It was absolutely the money from licensing Warhammer Fantasy to Creative Assembly that convinced them to bring to do the old world. It was absolutely that. And it was the money, and it was like, oh, hey, this is actually, we can still profit off of this. We can profit off a game for it. That is absolutely what motivated them. Bohemond Plus, listen, man, I only want you to subscribe to me if you feel like it's worth it. I'm never going to push subscribing to me. You should absolutely only do that if you feel like it's worth it. Need we bring up how Games Workshop, in a very Games Workshop fashion, decided to, completely gut the fan film scene to kickstart Warhammer Plus on top of that. Here's the thing, they tried to jump into the deep end. They should have started with what they were doing now, with stuff like their appearance at Secret Level, make an entire show on Netflix, build that community, make people want what they sell. But the other thing is, one franchise can't sustain an entire streaming site. Disney Plus has the Disney stuff, sure. But that's a century of movies and shows, but also, in my book, as a Disney Plus sub, it also kept afloat by them having non-Disney movies and shows on it. No. Denzel, you're absolutely correct. Disney Plus operated at a $18 billion loss. What was it, 18? No. Fuck. All right, what was the number? Hold on. Fuck. All right. Why do I have to have dyscalculia? It's so hard for me to remember numbers. What was the total lost revenue? 2022, 2023. Yeah, no, okay. I'm looking it up now. One moment. All right, hold up, everyone. I want to put this on screen so I'm not talking out of my ass. Yeah, Disney Plus was operating at like like $1.5 billion loss, something like that. Like, yeah. Site says 11 bill. Oh my God. Okay, that's so much worse. 11 billion by the start of 2020. Yeah, no. Disney sunk 11 billion into streaming before they even, according to them, they're profiting now. I don't believe that personally. It was wild given that it launched during lockdowns, a time when streaming sites should have been right? Like, oh man, what was it like? I want to say Fat Electrician actually brought this up in his one of his videos where Disney wrote off a bunch of their what do you call it, their films on Disney, on their original films on Disney Plus, in order to, like, you know, try to earn back several $1 billion on operating it, which is, like, you know, ridiculous. On the 3rd edition Dark Eldar Codex, there's an update codex to it. I have both. A couple codexes were like that. Yeah. I remember that. I remember that Angry Badger. They did Dark Angel. Was it Chaos Marines and Dark Angels both got an update in 3rd edition? But yeah, like they both got mid-edition updates. They did that for a couple. Yeah, there's the Dark Angels. It was Chaos, Dark Angels, and I literally said them. Dark Eldar got updates like that, and then they what was it? Yeah, and then, but to get a proper new codex, it took until 5th, rather than just an updated codex. Also have to remember, if you have a Disney Plus sub, that it can be that in your region you don't have the whole library, an actual series available. Yeah, exactly, that too. But yeah, no, Disney operated at a loss with streaming, but the thing is, Games Workshop kind of torpedoed. They torpedoed Warhammer Plus right out the gate by going after the fan animators. Like, the ones they didn't just, you know, cancel outright with you know, attacking them with lawyers. They basically held a gun to their head and were like, and you know, I've always described it this way. They basically held a gun to a lot of their heads and said, "Hey, you know what? We're going to sue you into oblivion unless you come work for us." And I want to say that was basically ones like, you know, say Altar of Wrath, or what do you got? Or it was called Primaris the Last Templar, but it was going to debut as Altar of Wrath, and then or the Exodite. A bunch of them were like that. And I will always say shout out to the Exodite crew for then ditching Games Workshop and starting to work on Project Morningstar. Based as fuck move. But yeah, no, Disney is able to, Disney, like, but yeah, the thing with streaming, the thing with Games Workshop setting up their own streaming in an attempt to break into multimedia on, like, the television front, is that Disney Plus can back itself up with literal decades worth of content that they can show. Disney earns more money off its older shows than it does off the new stuff. The new stuff they produce at a loss. The main big earners for Disney Plus are the older shows that they have exclusively and you can't get anywhere else. That's what people subscribe for. They don't really subscribe for the movies. So yeah, Games Workshop didn't have that with Warhammer Plus, and they didn't have, like, that cushion of content. And they also, you know, didn't have you know, they didn't have the consumer on their side with that one. They didn't have the consumer on their side in two different ways. You know, one, their actual fan base was mad at them over the fan film thing. Two, their what do you call it? You know, they didn't have the reach. They didn't have the reach. I still think if Games Workshop wanted to be smart about it, the thing they should have done was reach a publishing deal with fucking what do you call it? Like somebody. I don't know who. Obviously, they went to Amazon eventually for their TV shows, but they should have, released on, a streaming platform, make the animations themselves, release them on a streaming platform. They should have done that, but they wanted to do it themselves because, they're greedy. They wanted all the money. They wanted all the money from it for themselves, and it bit them in the ass. And that was when they started going toward Amazon. That was when they started the deal with Amazon because they knew Warhammer Plus was a flop and they're never going to profit off it. They have never profited off Warhammer Plus. They never will. And the fact they have to produce new minis for it every year as part of the the year-long subscription deal is absolutely biting into those profits. Well, profits, air quotes, because they're not earning any money off it. They operate. They have never been in the black with Warhammer Plus. They have always been in the red. I think I'm getting that right. In the red is in debt. They've always been in debt with Warhammer Plus. They're not earning any money off it. So on the multimedia front, they're moving toward Amazon because then they're basically at that point, they're licensing out Warhammer to a production company. And they're getting that instant payout. And then whatever, they're starting to do the same thing they did. They learned their lesson with television that they learned with video games. They're licensing out Warhammer to somebody else to produce the content, and they're basically raking in free money. And I personally think with how people are wanting for some, actual dark science fiction story, dark sci-fi storytelling, I think they're absolutely going to, I think they're going to make bank off the TV show if it's good. And that's the big stickler, the big sticking point. If it's good, it's really going to depend on how much Games Workshop can keep the retardation out of the production. Because we're gonna slightly slide into a different topic here. The Games Workshop, and this is gonna be the point where I predict the future. I've been predicting the future the whole time, but this is how I think it's gonna go. Games Workshop is gonna focus on licensing Warhammer to, video game companies, to comic book companies. They're going to keep producing their own novels with Black Library. They're going to, television, licensing out for television and film. And they're going to keep producing minis for the hobby end. And I think they're going to dial back on the tabletop gaming front. They will either dial back, on my conservative estimate, they'll dial back at least half what we're seeing now, and they're going to focus on, they're going to focus on rules updates, like, primarily to get to, like, you're probably going to see much wider swings in unit power for, you're going to probably see much wider swings in unit power in, like, on the tabletop games, and this will be largely to keep the whales spending. When it comes to the video games, you're going to, I know McGinnis. We're going to go into another Warhammer topic, and then we're going to go into Trench Crusade. But they're going to start focusing on, they're going to start approaching this market, the video game market, from a perspective of, let's give people ways to fully experience Warhammer as a setting in a strategy game. The thing they said they'd never do. That's what I think they're going to start doing now. Like, they're going to start doing that with their games that are actually released. like Warhammer 40K, you are going to see all of Warhammer 40,000, every faction, eventually in Total War Warhammer 40K. You're going to see them all eventually in Dawn of War 4. You're going to see them all eventually, probably also in Battle Sector. And that's part of what they're doing. They're going to approach that market finally because they realized if they keep people buying DLC, if they keep people investing in the games through updating them, keeping the company making the game, giving them the license money, and hoovering up some of the money from the game sales and the DLC sales, they can basically make free money. They don't have to do anything but slap these people on the wrist on occasion and make sure they're, saying, oh, hey, this is how we write things. This is how you got to do it, That is part of what they're going to do. They are literally going to license out to games, to game developers, DLC releases. They're going to approach that video game market and make the whole of 40K available in a video game format. Maybe not an exact recreation of Tabletop. Like, obviously, there's going to be differences between, say, Battle Sector, Dawn of War 4, and Total War Warhammer 40K, but they're going to start doing that now. And they're going to start licensing out to other game companies, too, for other game concepts. Like, they'd be crazy if they didn't capitalize on the shooter front because of Darktide and Space Marine 2. They'd be fucking insane if they didn't do that. And I think, and you know what? As stupid as Games Workshop is, they know that. And they're also, and as a final prediction, does this mean Darktide will introduce something other than Nurglings? They've been, okay, so in terms of Darktide updates, they released, the Arbites. And then not long after, they released another new class right away, like the Hive Scum. And apparently, spoiler warning, they're going to add an Adeptus Mechanicus class. They're going to add an Adeptus Mechanicus class. It leaked in the game files. There's going to be, a tech adept character. I feel like they're going to do that now because they've introduced the idea that not all of the rejects are criminals with the Arbites. So, because when the Hive Scum released, it leaked in the game files that a tech adept is going to be the next character, an admech character, and because they're also introducing the sort of unique gameplay styles for new classes. Like you got Call of Duty dog for the Arbites. You've got the STEM system for the Hive Scum, and you'll probably have some kind of unique system for the admech character when they drop him, because that's what's coming next. The admech character. After Arbites, a lot more is on the table. I mean, okay, you know what? Violence City. You know what I kind of want, personally? What I kind of, going into a personal little rant here. You know what I want? I want a kin. I want a kin character, like a mercenary. Like a squat. I want a squat character. Fuck it. I want a squat character. I want a squat character, and I want them to be using some of them unique squat weapons that only squats can get, like the, like the bolt revolver or the railgun or the railgun sniper and stuff like that. I want that in the game. I want them to do that. And again, because they introduced the Arbites, they don't have to be rejects anymore. They don't have to try and justify it through that story angle. Orc Freebooter would be hired as a mercenary, would be cool. I don't think they'll introduce a Xenos character. Well, a Xenos character like an orc, I should say, because technically, the kin are Xenos, technically. But I don't think they'd introduce, like, say, a Tau or an Eldar or something like that. But I do think they would introduce a kin. I don't see that not happening. That's not off the realm of possibility, in my opinion. Looking forward to how squats are portrayed in Total War Warhammer 40K. It'll be interesting. If Games Workshop remembers they exist, that would be nice. I will say I like the minis they added in 10th edition. They were nice minis, but they've got exactly one book to their name, and it looks like they've been nixed out of their video game appearance in Mechanicus 2, because they straight up put them in a trailer, and then in the gameplay trailer they didn't show up at all. So yeah. You could push your luck with a human having a Tau tech. I don't think that would be allowed, especially because the Inquisitor in Darktide is Ordo Hereticus. So yeah, no, that'd be that'd be like, oh hell no, they just kill that guy straight up. Like Ordo Hereticus, nah, they don't fuck around with that. Or Ordo Xenos, probably. You could probably finagle it, but they're not. But you're not working for the Ordo Xenos. You're working for the Ordo Hereticus. But yeah, no. So yeah, that's basically the point. Just capping off the point. That's basically the argument. They're gonna dial back on tabletop rules, not minis, rules, because they're going to be earning way too much money from licensing. Both video games with long lifespans, new games and new markets they can appeal to, and also the television angle with Amazon. That's why they pursued the Amazon deal. So they can take the pressure off themselves to produce the television content, and then they can just earn free licensing money through their deal with Amazon. And and obviously they're going to keep the minis going because people love the minis. Look, the minis, they've had their trip ups. I will criticize the design quality of the AOS minis until the cows come home, because the AOS minis suck. But they're Horus Heresy minis, they're Old World minis, they're 40K minis, and all their specialist games, Necromunda and all that. Good shit. And we know the minis are good. I will be, listen, GW's on my shit list as a company, but I will praise them for the things they do right. I have to remain objective. I will praise them for the things they do right. And the mini quality is still doing good. Fuck, even Lord of the Rings still sells off the collectible factor, like the Lord of the Rings tabletop game. Because, the Lord of the Rings fandom is huge, and where the fuck else are you going to get Lord of the Rings minis? No one else is making them. So, yeah, that's basically what's going on with what I think is going to happen over the next couple of years. I think 10 years from now, I don't think games, I think 10 years from now, CAD files, well, okay, Mr. Personality, obviously 3D printing, right? 3D printing, but I'm talking like, an official production deal, not 3D printing. Obviously, the only people making Lord of the Rings miniatures right now are Games Workshop. But I do believe 10 years from now, at a conservative estimate, you may be seeing a new edition every 5 to 6 years instead of every 2. And I believe those editions are going to be a lot less update intensive. I don't think we're going to see another 10th edition, 8th edition style rules revamp for a good long time. At least until, maintaining the current system becomes untenable and they don't really have a choice, like what would happen with 8. But I think 10 years from now, at the conservative estimate, we're going to see much slower edition releases. We're going to see much slower codex releases, if codexes get updated at all. And we're going to see primarily just rules updates, like the data slates, to push the whales to buy for the tournaments. At an incredibly liberal estimate, and we're talking this is incredibly liberal estimate as where things are going. In 10 years, they won't do tabletop wargaming anymore. They'll just release the minis for hobbyists. I firmly believe if the profit margins can become high enough from multimedia and just hobbyists, but not tabletop gamers specifically, I believe they would drop that market. That's what I believe they would do. And to how things pan out, I believe it might actually happen. They might drop the tabletop gaming aspect entirely and focus on miniature production for hobbyists and multimedia, that being, you know, the Black Library novels, associated lore books, video games, licensing out comics to, like, say, Marvel or some other comic company, and, you know, Amazon for television and film. And that's firmly what I believe was happening. Okay, McGinnis, please be patient. I want to touch on one thing real quick. I'm going to go AFK really quick. When I get back, we're going to switch topics. So hang on, everyone.
Out there, yes, clear. Loud, clear. In the suspicious city. 2423 live, look at the mobile station. Unmanned cut. C7? Yes, ma'am, we'll be clear, and 233 will be clear on the end for E. Edward, and 2 will both be a 50. 224, I was going out there. 233 will be clear on the end for and 2 will both be a 50. Out there, yes, clear. Loud, clear. In the suspicious city. 2423 live, look at the mobile station. Unmanned cut. C7? Yes, ma'am, we'll be clear, and 233 will be clear on the end for E. Edward, and 2 will both be a 50. 224, I was going out there. 233 will be clear on the end for and 2 will both be a 50. Out there, yes, clear. Loud, clear. In the suspicious city.
Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. Okay, so I wanted to touch on something related to 40K before, before we go on to talk about Trench Crusade. And that's this. They Games Workshop put out the Black Library Book of the Year thing that they do every year. And I wanted to point out the who won and who didn't, who the winner, the loser, etc. I'm just gonna bring all these up. I'm a rant about this a little bit because okay. So the number one book was the Drop Site Massacre. I want to point out, by the way, this slightly comical fact, like why these Space Marines got such long faces. Look at that. Like, hold on, how far in can I zoom? Like, look, I get the Salamanders just saw, their Primarch explode and all that at the Drop Site Massacre, but seriously, buddy, why the long face? They're mocking, that's why. You know what, Chanka, you bring up a good point. But yeah, no, Drop Site Massacre was the number one, was apparently the number one favorite. The number two favorite, and okay, I'm gonna go full, conspiracy theory here. All right. I get the feeling that whenever Games Workshop does these Black Library Books of the Year thing, they've got their thumb on the scale regarding the votes, because I'm going to be 100% with y'all. There is no way this this stank ass book about a faction like maybe 3 people care about that underperformed in sales is number 2. And it's always Mike Brooks. It's always Mike Brooks with some book he released that no one fucking bought, that no one fucking read, and like most people who read it didn't like it, and it's only praised on fucking Reddit. I do not believe for a minute that book got second place without Games Workshop putting their thumb on the scale, you know? I don't know whose dick Mike Brooks is sucking under the table at Games Workshop, but he is the most astroturfed fucking author in the history of this entire fucking company. His books are garbage. His prose is awful. His plots are awful. He puts in that fucking gender special bullshit in every novel to the point it's obnoxious. You know, like you can, like, it's like you can feel his hands in the story, like making characters gay for no other reason than that's his politics, you know? Like, not to write a good gay character, but to write a character literally like, take that, chuds, you know? And his books underperform. The only time he's sold books that he's made books that sold well, they were coasting off Primark hype. You know, the Alfarius book, which was like the weakest of the Primark books, and then you had fucking Lion Son of the Forest, which was coasting off the Lion's Return to 40K. He wants to seem like a good white boy. Yeah, basically, you know, BOI. Your spelling there noted. But yeah, like, there's no way this guy gets to number 2 without GW, you know, fudging the numbers. There is no way. But I think Games Workshop revealed a couple things in this poll as well. I don't think I've bought a single Mike Brooks book. Yeah, don't. You're not missing anything. But yeah, the another thing they okay, so this is another one that's hard for me to accept, is that a Dan Abnett book, you know, a Dan Abnett novel, Interceptor City, which was also a sequel to a wildly popular 40K novel, you know, what fucking and a Sabbath Worlds Crusade novel at that. Because Interceptor City is the sequel to Double Eagle. And again, it's a Dan Abnett book. He's their heavy hitter with their novels. I refuse to believe Interceptor City scored less in the polls than Void Scarred. I refuse to believe that. Who even reads Eldar? Their lore's been dog shit for so long. Listen, man, listen. I am like fully on board with the fact that you know, again, they're obviously astroturfing Mike Brooks, because Eldar don't get novels anymore because of fucking what do you call it? Eldar don't get novels anymore because of fucking Gav Thorpe and how he basically doesn't want anyone but him writing Eldar novels. So they're able to kind of worm Eldar content in there by shoveling it off onto Mike Brooks to make Drukhari and you know, Dark Eldar and Corsair stuff. You know, minor factions like 5 people care about, because they literally cannot get Eldar books made for craft worlders unless it's fucking Gav Thorpe doing it. Because because Gav Thorpe is such a stranglehold on who's allowed to write Eldar, because they're his babies, and he was like one of the, like, you know, when he was like one of the people, you know, pushed by nepotism at Games Workshop because his books were fucking awful. But, you know, again, he knows the right Thorpe knows the right people, so obviously he gets to have final say on who writes Eldar. You know, it wouldn't surprise me either if it was if Brooks was being pushed by Gav Thorpe. You know, that wouldn't surprise me either. But this is the main thing I wanted to point out. the number 4 through 10 novels. We have in 10th place was Tomb World, 9th place was The Remnant Blade, 8th place was Grotsnick the Mad Doc, 7th was Fulgrim the Perfect Son, 6th was Era of Ruin, 5th was Ashes of the Imperium, and 4th was Archmagos. Now, I want you all to notice the number 5, the number 5 book there. The number 5 book was Ashes of the Imperium. Now that's significant, I think, because this is a brand new franchise they're launching. Ashes just came out. Yes, it just came out. It came out in time for the polls. Like, this isn't sales, all right? This isn't sales. This is reader opinion. This is reader opinion on which books people thought were the best ones. This isn't based on sales. So I want to get that straight right off the bat. This isn't based on sales. This is based on what people thought of the books. And Ashes of the Imperium, it doesn't matter, how people try to say it's a Horus Heresy novel. It's not a Horus Heresy novel. This is a franchise starter. This is a franchise starter novel. This is the franchise starter novel of The Great Scouring, the sequel to the Horus Heresy. All right? This is the sequel to the Horus Heresy. And in reader opinion, it got 5th place out of 10. I don't know how to tell you this, guys. A franchise starter novel getting 5th place is really bad. That is really bad. Okay? That is abominably bad. I can't even begin to tell you. A franchise starter in 5th place in reader opinion, they are not in a good place right there. They are not in a good place starting off the Great Scouring in terms of reader opinion. They're not. And remember, everyone, usually don't buy books. I just get the lore updates from YouTube and the books from Lexicanum. Yeah, no, I get that. Games Workshop absolutely overcharges for books. They overcharge for everything, but they absolutely overcharge for books. It would be lower, but it's buffed because it has femstones. Honestly, Rogel, this is actually the point I was getting to. This was the book that it didn't canonize femstones, don't get me wrong. No amount of writing femstones into fucking Warhammer novels is going to make them canon. Because Games Workshop has still not explained where they came from. And based on how they introduced them to, the setting, probably never will either. Yeah. Because once again, in this book, this was the book that first added a female custodes to, a novel. And guess what, guys? They didn't explain where she came from. In fact, let me, for the doubters, I think I might actually have some photographic evidence here. So hang on, everyone. I will look that up. There it is. All right. And we're just gonna quick, all right. This is the, what you're looking at here, this is the Dramatis Personae section of the first Scouring book, Ashes of the Imperium. It goes over the characters the characters and like what faction they're part of. And it brings up Ariste, a custodian. Now, if you search up Ariste, the character, the name is mentioned approximately 6 times. And yeah, you can clearly see from the right side of the image, Ariste is female. So the guy who leaked the book, who said that they added a female custodian to the book, he was right. He wasn't making it up. It's true. Now, is that bad? Well, it's mostly because, again, that apparently, they just existed the whole time, you silly chud. You know, you were just too stupid to notice across decades of books that brought up the Custodes, you know, across decades of, codexes that said they only recruit men. But yeah, they just decided, yeah, again, I guess the GW's really doubling, quadrupling down on, they were always there, you silly chud, you just didn't notice. But honestly, this is why I think this is significant in the ranking of Ashes of the Imperium is because apparently the book itself was perfectly fine. Like, we're talking like from a perspective of like, plot, writing, characterization, all that stuff. The book was apparently perfectly fine. I mean, and this is the thing too, like this Ariste character, everything you see on the, like, where, searching up the name, that is her sum total involvement in the story. This is her entire involvement in the story right here. Like, they just put her in there, Like, they just put, like, it's such an inconsequential presence. Almost, like, again, this, like, I went on for the better part of a year about how Games Workshop was, like, going back on the female Custodes thing, because for the better part of a year, they, from the tithes up until Tirith showed up in Tacticus, the phone game, the mobile game, for the better part of a year, they didn't mention female Custodes at all. They released a bunch of new content with Custodes and never mentioned the women. They never mentioned the female ones. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Tirith and Tacticus, and then this Ariste person shows up in Ashes of the Imperium. And note that this was on top of the fact that Silent King and Era of Ruin, the short story compilation for Horus Heresy, the one that follows the end and the death, also said that Custodes are only men. Now, you'll have to forgive me if I thought that this meant they were getting rid of, they weren't going to do female Custodes anymore. Because again, as I've put it before, I was assuming Games Workshop had some kind of like coordination and artistic integrity as a company. Like, it's very schizo flip-flop behavior. It is. Like, this apparently super important change they sat on for a year and did nothing with, to the point they published material that outright contradicted it and then drop it into Tacticus and into Era of Ruin. Like, my mistake was, my mistake assuming they wouldn't do it again was based entirely off the idea that Games Workshop has an artistic integrity and coordination between offices. Hey, we're not doing the female Custodes thing anymore. Don't push that. Gotcha, boss. We won't push it anymore. I was assuming they'd be working like that, but they want this to be a thing, but they won't commit. They didn't even commit in the Horus Heresy rulebook. But then again, we did get that thing now where apparently they didn't want to call Space Marine men anymore in the Horus Heresy lore for 40K, or for the Horus Heresy lore for Space Marines. They don't mention them as men anymore in the Emperor's description of the Space Marines. My finest warriors. They don't call them men anymore. They don't refer to them as men. They refer to them with neutral pronouns. And then the Space Marine head's released, and yeah, that was yeah. Let's look that up real quick. Female Space Marine heads, yeah. Nah, fuck you, Spiky Bits. I'm not clicking on your shit. I'm stealing your photo. Yeah, this shit. I don't know what to think right now about this company. I really don't. Because they put a female custode in a novel in the most minor throwaway role possible, like an afterthought. But then again, they cut out mentioning men in the introduction. The defining lore quote about the Space Marines in the Horus Heresy and 40K itself. They're my finest warriors, these men who give themselves to me. They don't call them men anymore in that line. It was in the White Dwarf release where they don't call them men anymore. I'd have to find a picture of it. I don't have one on hand, and I probably won't be able to find one on, maybe I can. But yeah, and then also on top of that, this bullshit, these suspiciously feminine looking Space Marine heads that even fucking Flash gets when they were talking about it, brought up how suspicious they look. A lot of people thought they looked Asian. They're just bad Asian faces, but then they compared them to other Asian faces. Like, yeah, no, those aren't Asian. Those are feminine. I don't know. I don't know where Games Workshop stands right now on this. I really don't. I don't know if they're like, this company has me so confused. I don't know if, I don't know where they're going to go with female custodes after this. The Doom poster in me says we're going to see female custodes in the minis. The Doomer side of me says that, but the one that has me confused is the female Space Marines. Like, are they going to add them? Were they going to add them and then put on the brakes, but had to sell the heads? Like, what is this company planning? In this regard, okay, when it comes to them, moving away from tabletop, like earlier in the stream I was talking about, that seems certain. That seems like a move they'd make based on where they're going in terms of like where they're looking to get their money. But this, I don't know. They have to know that nobody liked this. They have to know that nobody wanted this. I mean, like, it is very clear based on, the rankings of the novels that Ashes of the Imperium's rankings, in the opinion of readers, was hurt by the presence of this character. This one character dropped the book down from potentially top 3 to number 5. And I guarantee you, the only reason the book got to number 5 to begin with was because of people was because of tourists bombing the polls to boost it higher. I guarantee you that. We know, we just fucking know, like we had to fucking, fucking Kia, Cerberus, fucking Bitshammer, wherever the fuck he went, I guess he's on, I haven't seen him in forever because he's on, Blue Sky, you guarantee they were on their fucking Discord servers coordinating mass voting to try to get Ashes of the Imperium as high up as possible, whether they read the book or not. And it still only got 5th place. That should tell you all you need to know about what people think of the female Custodes thing. And it's not like it's the only evidence either, because like, look, man, I'm just gonna bring this up again. I will once again bring up the Adeptus Custodes faction focus video. I will once again bring up, if you can look, check it out at the bottom of the screen. I will zoom it in as much as I can. 17,000 thumb downs, downvotes, whatever you want to call them. 17,000. There has been no video in the history of the Warhammer YouTube page has ever been so disliked. I really hope Games Workshop can get their shit in order with this franchise. I really do. I really hope Games Workshop can decide if they're going to commit to this female Custodes thing or not. I hope they decide if they think female Space Marines are worth it or not. Because the way things are trending, it looks like they might retroactively introduce them. They might retroactively, like they release the heads, the miniatures, into the wild. And then when people have used the heads and it's too late for them to turn back, they're going to be like, they're canon now. Female Space Marines are a thing. I could see them doing that. Like trying to sneak it in. Because as a British company that is like, as a British company that is hiring people like Tom Mendelsohn, a psychopath who wishes people who he disagrees with would be murdered. If they're willing to keep Mendelsohn on, which they have not fired him, if they're willing to keep Mendelsohn on, they're willing to sneak female Space Marines in after they've sold the heads for female Space Marines under the radar. I believe fully, with my whole chest, this is my entirely unfiltered dog shit opinion, Games Workshop, because they're perpetually 10 years behind culturally, would try to sneak that in to get female Space Marines accepted, which is just going to make it worse for them. You always say hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. Yeah, exactly. I've got my backlog of 40K minis that I've got to work on. I'm not buying anything more from them until I can get solid confirmation that they will not release female Custodes onto minis and that they will not release female Space Marines. Until I can get solid confirmation, I'm not giving them another dime for miniatures. Not at all. Like, that is my position right now on 40K. That it's been that way since, Tacticus. It's been that way since the Tacticus and the Era of Ruin info came out. And until they can show me that they're committing to that, that they're committing to not continuing with this, then they're not going to do female Custodes further, and they're not going to introduce female Space Marines. They will not get another dime from me, and they shouldn't get another dime from you either. Buy 3D printed models, play Tabletop Simulator, do what you got to do. Do what you got to do. Things I can't mention on stream because I will get my account canceled. But absolutely do not give Games Workshop money. Do not give them money, at all, basically. Might as well add male sororitas. Oh, they would never do that. They'd never be fair about it. God forbid, do the thing everybody fucking wants, which is add more Sisters of Silence units. They'd never do that. But, they'd never do that. but they'd sneak female space marines in and female custodes. They do that, but they never give us actual legitimate representation of women in Warhammer 40k. They'd never do that. They'd never ever do that. But yeah, I know. Hold on. Let's read chat a little bit. I wonder if the British government is also putting pressure on them as a British company, considering what's going on over there right now. I've considered that, honestly. I've considered that, Chase. Like, I've actually considered that it's, pressure from the British government to uphold DEI standards, but at the same time, also, Games Workshop also, well, not Games Workshop, but they've put Doctor Who back on the shelf after Doctor Who pandered unbelievably hard to woke DEI initiatives. They pandered unbelievably hard to that, and Doctor Who got so bad that in the ratings that even the BBC, who are required by law to push DEI, they're required by British law to push DEI, were like, we can't do this anymore, and shelved Doctor Who again. So I don't know if, because Games Workshop is not part of the government. They're not part of the government. They're an independent company, but this is also the United Kingdom we're talking about, which is, they're currently they and the rest of the United Kingdom and the EU are the kings of government overreach in the West right now. So yeah, like, it is genuinely funny when fucking Russia is not as bad as the UK and the EU. And I say that honestly. Russia, scummy country, don't get me wrong. They should not be invading Ukraine. They have no right to invade their neighbor. I mean, but granted, I think the Ukrainian government is also scum because, they're just sending their people they're just sending their men to the grinder so they can keep getting, the give me dats from, from NATO. But all the same, that doesn't absolve Russia either. Russia is scummy for invading Ukraine. But in terms of like Orwellian police states, like being an Orwellian police state, the EU and especially the UK have Russia beat. They have Russia beat by a long shot. It's not even close. But right, that's that topic out of the way. I wanted to touch on that. We're gonna now go over to okay, we're gonna bring down what we got on screen right now, and we're gonna bring something else up. Something some of y'all were excited about. This is gonna be let's see. Where is that? Okay. We're gonna watch through this. Please don't attract NAFO tards. Fucking come at me. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit if NAFO tards like get mad at me for saying that. Them being a bunch of psychopaths that jerk off to Ukrainian war snuff porn doesn't make me wrong. And that's the last I'm talking about that today. But we're gonna bring this up. Let's see. Where is that? So yeah. Hello. Say hello to Arch. He brought out the video. So yeah, we're actually gonna watch this. We're gonna try to watch it with minimal commentary or live, comment while it's still playing, because I want to get through this video pretty quick. But this is the topic of what Trench Crusade is doing. Trench Crusade comically fucking up again. So yeah, we're gonna fire this video up and we're gonna get through. We're gonna let Arch explain it because he's the one. Because I learned of this through him. So we'll let his video explain it.
Trench Crusade is striving heroically to somehow become a worse company than Games Workshop, as they've now elected to start
Fucking right,
using
Arch.
AI to take down community-created content for their allegedly agnostic tabletop wargame that is.
Can I point out real quick, by the way? Any anti-AI bros over on the Trench Crusade side who shill Trench Crusade, you realize you have to give up Trench Crusade now, right? By your logic, you have to quit Trench Crusade because they're using AI to do this, to attack people. Is Arch trying to deepen his voice? I don't know. Man, I don't know. Listen, a lot of people get mad at Arch because of his accent. Granted, I fully understand the way he learned English. He learned it with an English accent, so, you know, I don't hold his accent against him. English is like his, I want to say it's like his third language or something, so, yeah. I don't hold it against him. When your English third language, you can speak it as well as he does, then I'm not holding his accent against him. A lot of people, no, Jay, you misunderstand me. I see a lot of people say that. I actually do see a lot of people say that. Like, unironically, I really do. But yeah, I'm pause the video.
Assured everyone that you would be allowed to use any models you so please to play their game.
And that's true, by the way.
That's not technically true.
You know,
it's just that
they said that it's a miniature agnostic game.
Making models for their game. Should have read the fine print, I do suppose. And just, by the way, before we get into this, no, they still have not fulfilled all of their Kickstarter pre-orders. Over a year now on a massive Kickstarter, and they
a year late on the Kickstarter goals. Jesus my Christ.
Promised. Why? Because the developers are habitual liars that have yet to be caught speaking the truth. But what's happened here? This post is mainly directed to all my merchant and license holders, Trench Dice dealers, but it's probably something that every Trench Crusade hobbyist and fan should also know. Factory Fortress, the company behind Trench Crusade, has been protecting their intellectual property by sending takedown notices if their original art was used to make 3D sculpts, or if people made almost direct copies of their original 3D sculpt. Now, that, at least I can see an argument for. If it is a one-to-one copy, then okay. You know, you have the official model, it is from an official product, it's not an alternative. However...
Yeah, that... I will agree with Arch, that is fair. If you're just one copying the models, you are setting yourself up for a, at that point, you are setting yourself up for a DMCA takedown. It's one, like with Games Workshop, for example, because they went after that one guy recently and he's taking them to court over it. In like that case, for example, they weren't going after him for, you know, they weren't going after him for how the models looked, for looking too similar. They were going after him for unfair competition, which is basically, you're not allowed to make minis to compete against us. It's like a monopoly establishment kind of lawsuit on Games, or a monopoly establishment attempt on Games Workshop's part. But if they're going after you for making a complete, like, you know, complete copy of their minis, that is fair. The recent instance with Games Workshop was not a case of that. With the unfair competition clause that they put out.
Factory Fortress seem to now switch to a different gear. They are now targeting seemingly everyone on sale platforms, eBay, Etsy, etc., who use terminology that they claim to have the right to. This is where, of course, it gets crazy.
Oh boy! Are they gonna go for Warhammer? Are the Trench Crusade guys about to go for a Are they about to go for a Warhammer as a copyrighted term thing? I still remember when Arch could have literally sued GW into oblivion over that. He could have completely destroyed the Warhammer brand, but was too fucking nice to other Warhammer 40k YouTubers at the time and decided not to. despite them all cheering on Games Workshop when it happened. Arch, if you ever watch my stream for some reason, your biggest character flaw is you're too fucking nice. You should have torpedoed Games Workshop right then and there.
Remember, some of you old foggies out there might vaguely remember a similar English company trying to copyright the word pauldrons and Space Marine. Well, guess what? Trench Crusade is trying to copyright trenches and crusades, along with words like heretic and legion and black grail.
Oh my god. It's the Chapter House lawsuit. It's the Chapter House lawsuit all over again. The Trench Crusade guys are doing the Chapter House. I gotta stand up. I gotta stand up. I don't fucking believe this. I knew it was, oh my fucking god. Oh my fucking god. A little bit of Warhammer history, everyone. A little bit of Warhammer history, real quick. So, who knows who ever heard of the Chapter House lawsuit? The Chapter House lawsuit was when Games Workshop sued someone over using the term Space Marine. They tried to, copyright the entirely generic term Space Marine and had to sue someone over it. And when Games Workshop lost this lawsuit, this is also where they tried to copyright the term pauldrons. When they lost this lawsuit, that was when they had to go and rename everything in Warhammer 40k and Fantasy. That was when Imperial Guard became Astra Militarum, Eldar became Eldari, Dark Eldar became Drukari, the Tau became the T''Ow. That was when all that happened. The Trench Crusade guys are now doing that. It's been a year since their Kickstarter and they've already sunk to Games Workshop Dark Ages levels of bullshittery. I can't fucking believe this.
Yes, that's totally how copyright works, and not at all a sign of an incredibly abusive company that always was one. You simply failed to notice the obviousness of it all. The takedowns are sent through an AI-operated IP rights enforcement company called BrandShield. BrandShield use semi-automated AI processing on determining if a listing on the internet contains names, titles, design elements, or other content that infringe upon a client's property and would lead to confusion between official and non-official products. So then, names, titles, and design elements. Even Games Workshop aren't quite this broad with their definition.
Yeah, I for anyone who tries to argue that this was an accident, the terms and design elements that the AI program is looking for are absolutely approved by Trench Crusade's creators. It is absolutely approved by them. They are approving everything this AI is looking for.
And indeed, BrandShield is an AI-powered online brand protection. In other words, Trench Crusade sends this company a series of keywords, and the AI then scours the internet for those keywords. And that's it. There is no moderation, there is no manual checking and seeing if they're erring on the... just acting out of hand, I guess, or acting crazy, or striking things for no reason. It's just an AI launching strikes against people. That's literally it. Now, In the case of my 3D sculpts, they are 100% original creations and definitely don't break any copyright law. So this guy's sculpts have gone on other people's pages and have those taken down on other people's pages. I also conversed with the Factory Fortress multiple occasions, and they have never claimed that any of my sculpts are illegal. To my understanding, you have nothing to worry about when it comes to my designs themselves, which is of course not the case. So this guy has gone to the Trench Crusade designers, gone, hey, here's my model, is it okay? They have lied, as they always habitually do. No, I'm not extending any sort of benefit of the doubt to Trench Crusade whatsoever. They have been proven to be liars in the past, and I have no reason to believe that they aren't simply lying now.
And that is very true. You should not extend the Trench Crusade people the benefit of the doubt. You shouldn't. They told this guy it was okay, and then very specifically approved the AI to hunt down anything with these terms and these design elements that they already told the guy, oh, this is cool, you can use these. So they lied to him. They straight up lied to this guy and rug pulled him.
As they then moved on to strike those very self-same models on other people's sites.
Is Trench Crusade a pet of Games Workshop? No. The point is that they are absolutely racing to the bottom, trying to beat Games Workshop at being the worst miniatures company ever, and they're winning by a country mile right now.
So, what has happened? I've had several merchants report to me that they have had multiple of my files taken down. After discussions with them, I have guessed that the listings of my sculpts were taken down because of the used terminology. Takedowns also hitting multiple other Trench creators and their license holders. So, if they were using things like Trench Crusade or Trench Crusade compatible or compatible with Trench Crusade or names like New Antioch, Black Grail or Heretic Legion, these are being striked. In other words, Trench Crusade are claiming to own these terms. Now,
yeah, you actually can't own those terms. It's part of why Games Workshop had to call, like, say, the Imperial Guard the Astra Militarum after the Chapter House lawsuit, because Imperial Guard is too generic a term to copyright. So, yeah, I'm sorry, Trench Crusade, Heretic Legion, Black Grail. These terms are too nondescript to copyright. The term Trench Crusade itself is a lot like the term Warhammer. You can't copyright the terms Trench and Crusade. You can't copyright the term Warhammer. Games Workshop almost could have gone under trying to sue Arch over the Warhammer thing. And again, we're very lucky he didn't decide to countersue. Even though they ultimately did drop the case on him. But all the same, you know? You can't copyright these terms.
Even the Trench Crusade tag is very, very difficult to argue that Trench Crusade truly owns beyond their immediate IP copyrights, as they themselves have claimed that they will open to any models in their games, and thus at the very least, Trench Crusade compatible is simply just a tag saying that, hey, hello there, agnostic wargame, I see you've promised that people can use any models. Well, these models are compatible with Trench Crusade. And Black Grail, I know for a fucking sure you can't copyright that. Heretic Legion, I very much so doubt. The only one I can kind of see is New Antioch, and even then, it's Antioch, with the new in front of it.
Yeah, Antioch is an actual place. Like,
GW trying to copyright portraits and Space Marines is damn near closer to reasonable than this, and so he suggests some alternative keywords here. Now, he also made a further post showing here, my radar have picked up no word or statement from Factory Fortress yet, so most likely there is no information coming about the takedown speed during December at least. One merchant got an answer from the TC team that Trench Crusade compatibility is not available at this time. That is very telling. Again, the Trench Crusade team saying you're not allowed to call your minis Trench Crusade compatible. That's really bad.
That is really bad. That is an absolutely awful perspective and a complete betrayal of their position that this is a miniature agnostic game. Hey Salt, how you doing? We're watching Arch talk about how Trench Crusade has fallen on their face again.
Remind you here, this entire wargame was supposed to be agnostic, that you could use any models you so wanted. Like this one. The official stance of the dev is, we will never police the miniatures you use in Trench Crusade, nor require the use of official miniatures in any game or event we'll run. That was their official stance. And another person here listed a link to that rules, basically going like, listen, all of this is fine. You can use whatever you want, and we will never force you to use anything official. That rules page, by the way, no longer exists.
Oh!
Because after their successful Kickstarter event, they decided to change the deal by going, no. We've noticed that we can earn money off this now.
Oh my God.
Work on a new
they took it down.
Where you're going to give us money.
This is so much worse than I thought it was.
And again, I'm not even opposed to that, but this
like if they were doing this on the sly, that is one thing. But no, this is a straight up declaration that the Trench Crusade team is just like, nah, fuck you. We're going back on every promise we made. We're going back on every promise. You don't get it. It's not a miniature agnostic game anymore. Buy our fucking overpriced minis that are more overpriced than fucking Warhammer 40,000s. Like, oh, Jesus Christ. Jesus my Christ.
This is a blatant bait and switch, where you launch with one set of rules, and then you go, no. We can earn a lot more money off this. We're going to change the rules now.
Yeah, I know, McGinnis, I can see why you insist on watching this. This is awful. This is actually a terrible situation.
People who simply wanted to make
these people are scum. They're actual scum.
It goes on for quite a bit here. My personal thoughts on this. We all want Trench Crusade to be a success story, and that's where you're wrong. You have won the Fell For It Again award. You have now been actively aggressed upon, and you are looking upon your predator and going, you did that in error, right? You didn't mean to.
Yeah, no, listen. I'm gonna go full, listen, I don't care if I get sent to the bad language gulag for saying this. Trench Crusade fans are the most raped miniatures fandom out there. They're the most raped miniatures fans, like miniature wargaming fans. They will let that company hurt them however they want because they are so ideologically poisoned that they don't care. Trench Crusade does not have a lot of fans, but holy shit. Oh my fucking God. They do not care what this company gets away with because they're so ideologically invested in Trench Crusade as an anti-chud game now, air quotes, you can't see me doing the air quotes, that they'll just let it do anything to them and they don't care. They will let the company sodomize them to own the chuds. Yeah, Jay, absolutely. They are so raped. Oh my God, it's ridiculous. I don't know what the hell they're doing. This is so ridiculous. How does anybody accept this? Again, Violent City. They're ideologically poisoned. Like that's it. They're ideologically poisoned. The Trench Crusade creators basically kicked all the normal people out of ultimately they can't gatekeep, Trench Crusade. Nothing stops me from giving money to me or any other normal person from giving money to them and playing the game with somebody else, another normal person who does the same. They can't gatekeep Trench Crusade. They actually can't. The left is incapable of gatekeeping. But the sheer fact is that they made a move to attempt that. They made a move to kick normal people out of Trench Crusade because they are ideologically leftist extremists. They made that move, And as a result, that has forever painted Trench Crusade as a extreme leftist product. And as extreme leftists being the way they are, they're going to back anything the Trench Crusade team and company does, because leftists don't buy things for enjoyment. They buy them for ideology. They give money to things for ideology. They don't have a sense of joy. They don't have a sense of, wanting to, take part in a fictional world. They don't have a sense of, a sense of community where you would build up with people to play games and talk about a hobby. They don't have a sense of wanting to take part in a hobby. It's political. They keep sticking with Trench Crusade because it's political to them. Trench Crusade only exists as a political ideology. It's not a game. It's not a setting. It's a political ideology now. And that is why they stick with it. That is what it is at the end of the day. Trench Crusade's not a game. It's not a setting. It's a political ideology. It's an extreme leftist political ideology dressed up as a tabletop game. And that's really all there is more to say on it, like on what Trench Crusade is and why they're letting them do this.
Become a victim of Stockholm Syndrome. It is 100% understandable and acceptable that Factory Fortress has to protect their intellectual property. In any normal circumstance, I would say yes, were it not for the company promising that their intellectual property would be open to everyone. And I agree that they definitely.
Yeah, that's another thing. You can go back and find you can go back and find. Actually, you know what? Hold on. Maybe I can find that. Maybe we can find that. Trench Crusade panel, what was it? Adepticon? I want to, fuck. Okay, there was a video of it by Mini Wargamer Dave. I want to see if I could find the specific, aha, I found it. Shit. Hold on. I want to minimize that real quick. I want to move this up onto the, I want to move this up onto here because y'all need to see this. Here you go. This is from the Trench Crusade. This is from the Trench Crusade panel at Adepticon about a year, this year, I want to say. Oh, excuse me. We want to give away zero creative control. We were willing to lose it all as long as we didn't have to compromise our vision. We would carry all the risks ourselves. We would seek no outside help that was non-creative. As a bonus, we decided to do no marketing. Okay. So let's see. There were other points. Oh, okay. This is them talking about the kicking out all the normal people from Trench Crusade, that they don't want normal people buying their game. Perfectly fine with me. I won't give them a single red cent. Where is it? No, that's not it. Fuck. That's not it. One of these goes over how they talk about there it is. Give away the game for free. We wanted to give players without money a chance to play the game. We also made the game miniature agnostic, so you would not have to buy miniatures from us. Basically, we did everything in our power to do things the opposite of what a good, sound financial business plan would tell us to do. We also had no exclusives, no FOMO. Again, This is the Trench Crusade creators' own words. Like, this is them at Adepticon. That's them going on about, oh, my social media and all that. Collaborators. I'm trying to find the one where they, hold on. Oh, hold on. Right, okay, this is a little hard to read, I get that. We decide to let small creators use our IP with a third-party license. So yeah, no, again, they're giving people the license. Huh? Is that stream title supposed to say that? What stream title? What's up? What's up? Is it my stream title? Oh no, okay, Salt, that's from an earlier topic. It's been a Yap stream, so yeah. This is them lying to our faces. It is. This is them lying. They are blatantly lying to you. Like the Trench Crusade creators are just lying to you. Like these are their own words, saying the opposite of what they're doing now. Hold on. Trying to find more panels. There were more panels. Okay, this is going on about the artillery witch. We believe the support the players have given us is a mandate to take the game to the next level. Yeah, you're making real good on that, Trench Crusade guys. You're making real good on that promise, fucking your own fandom over. Shit. Okay, that's basically everything. They reveal the map. Where is the one where they bitch and moan about games about they can't enter the market? Here it is. Yeah. Here's the one where they bitch and moan that they can't. They have to be. There's like Games Workshop is okay. Look, I don't like Games Workshop. All right, they do not have a monopoly. Games Workshop does not have a fucking monopoly. They can't stop you from starting a tabletop game, and in fact, they have not. You're just lazy and don't want to put in the work. Okay? You don't want to put in the fucking work, and you don't care about your fucking customers because you have said miniature agnostic. We care about the players. We want people to put. We just want to. You fucking hell. Every time I think I'm done bitching about you fucking people, you manage to pull something fucking stupid like this and make it and make it even worse. I can't even begin to fathom how awful your company is, Trench Crusade. Every time I think you've hit rock bottom, you make it worse. And then it's like, and then your raped ass fans have the fucking gall to say, oh, you're just mad you can't participate, Bohemond. I could participate if I want to. I don't want to. Because why would I give money to these people? Why would I do that? Why would I give money to this company? They're worse than Games Workshop. They're worse than them in so many ways. Oh my fucking, I've actually got my head in my hands right now. I actually don't believe this. I don't fucking believe this. I am on wit's fucking end right now with this. Oh my God. Slippery slope with no end in sight. No. EA, that is entirely wrong. That implies there was a slope. There was no slope. There was a cliff, and they fucking swan dived off that motherfucker. All right? They swan dived off this shit. They swan dived off. They are like belly flopping off a 1,000-foot cliff into an ocean of razor blades and shit. That's how bad they're fucking doing. All right? razor blades and used needles. That's fucking Trench Crusade from the moment they kicked all the normal people off the fucking Discord server to this. This has been, I don't think there's ever been a crash and burn this spectacular in tabletop gaming, and that includes the Chapter House lawsuit and Games Workshop attacking the fan animators. This includes that. It's like supporting Disney. It's just not worth the DEI instruction they bring with them. You're damn right, Gabby. You're damn right. It's not worth it. And listen, I'm just going to say this. Anyone out there who still supports Trench Crusade, who still wants to buy their minis, who still wants to play the game, get out. Get out. Leave now. Leave now. Quit now. Quit while you're ahead. This is only going to get worse. This is a bunch of retards who have no idea what they're doing, who tasted money and tasted a little integer of success, and in less than a year have become this. It is going to get so much worse, and it is going to fail. Get out now. Like, I don't care if the art is neat. I don't care if the concept is neat. Get out of Trench Crusade. Drop it now. It will get worse. It will bite you in the ass eventually. It will. It will bite you in the ass eventually. It doesn't matter how much you support this Trench Crusade as some kind of tabletop wargame ideology like you do. It is not worth it. Get out now. Save yourself. Oh my God. Okay. Still a little over half this video to go. Doing a Concord. They really are doing a Concord. This is like the Concord of fucking tabletop games.
Copies of the miniatures or art to be sold or used without permission. Stealing art, copying a full design to make profit is blatantly wrong. Again, I can even see the argument, if you hadn't promised not to do that. My worries. The current way and scope of Factory Fortress has chosen to protect their IP is creating too much collateral damage, and the timing is wrong. The timing is wrong. Again,
yeah, the timing.
Syndrome here.
The timing. Yeah, the timing is the problem. The timing is the problem, not them going back on all their promises and fucking their own customers and fans in the ass. Yeah, that's not the problem. The timing is the problem. Yeah.
Establish before you crush the people you promised to support. And hey, you know, there's an argument to be made for that. Look at Games Workshop. They built an empire first. Then they destroyed everyone who did anything vaguely related to their property.
Yeah, no, he's absolutely right. He's absolutely right. Games Workshop established themselves and then went full retard. All right? Trench Crusade hasn't even established themselves yet. They can't even say, they can't even get the first Kickstarter out the door after getting the money. They can't even do that. They have no room to be doing this. They have no moral or ethical room to be doing this. I mean, Games Workshop has no moral or ethical room to be fucking over their customers the way they are with, you know, with the Warhammer Plus debacle, with the lawsuits, with the female custodes, with the potentially pushing female space marines. They have no moral or ethical room to be doing this as a multi-billion-dollar company. Do you think you do, Trench Crusade people? Do you think you do? You don't. You ain't even got a pot to piss in yet, and you're already like, you know, you're already looking to set your dick on fire doing it. Like, we got to finish this video.
They need to provide sufficient information on what is allowed so people do not get unnecessarily hit by takedowns. He mentioned also earlier in the post that he'd asked Brand Shield, the people doing the takedowns, for a list of words or terms that weren't allowed. They obviously chose to not provide one. because this will be an ever-expanding list. They'll start with the obvious stuff, they'll expand upon it, because even right now they're claiming terminology like Heretic Legion. You do not own Heretic Legion. You do not
That's
own
right.
The idea of heretic.
They're just going to expand it more and more. It's just going to get worse.
Even, quite happily argue you don't own the idea of Antioch, but rebuilt. This terminology will only get vaguer and vaguer because Trench Crusade itself is so incredibly vague. There is virtually nothing of any sort of creativity in Trench Crusade. It's demons. Oh, look at that demon. What is that demon? Well, it's a bloated fly that spreads plague. Oh, wow. Mind-blowing.
He I never even thought of that. He makes a very good point about how vague Trench Crusade is. There's nothing in Trench Crusade you can really copyright. Like all the major factions, one way or another, are just something from actual history with obviously a dark, a grimdark fantasy spin to it. All the major demon antagonists are just demons from the Bible. Like, you keep thinking Dante's Inferno? All the major demons and stuff are just they're all from something else. There's no originality. Now, I get the idea of, you don't need original ideas to make a good story, okay? Like approaching this from a writer's perspective. You don't need to, you can use biblical demons and biblical ideas and biblical characters to tell a story, right? You don't have to come up with something wholly original. That's not how creative writing works. You can have Beelzebub, the Lord of the Flies, as an antagonist in a story. That is fine. That is not the Trench Crusade creators doing that as using biblical demons like Beelzebub as their villains is not a bad thing. That is not inherently a bad thing, because that's just how creative writing works. You can use established ideas from myth and legend and religion like Catholicism, Judeo-Christian faiths to, tell stories. I mean, fuck, man, the Nasuverse has propagated itself off the use of myth, mythical and historical figures. Like, the main girl in that is just King Arthur. Is just King Arthur with Excalibur. And even then, male King Arthur exists in there too, with Excalibur. Gilgamesh, Hercules, Enkidu, Astolfo, fucking King Tut just showed up. I'm under the impression Fake Grand Order not too long ago. The Nasuverse has built itself off using, people from actual history or legend or myth. But you want to know what they don't do? You know what Nasu doesn't do, or what Type Moon don't do? They don't sue the people making this, they don't sue the people making this Merlin show on streaming coming up for using fucking Merlin in their show when Merlin is a fake character. You can't sue people for this shit. It's not something you can copyright. You can't copyright Beelzebub. He's a fixture of a religion. He's a demonic entity of the Christian faith. You can't copyright that. So you can't sue people over the use of Beelzebub as a name. But I would be perfectly willing to guess the Trench Crusade people are going to try that.
What is that demon? Oh, that's a Blood Knight. Oh, let me guess. He likes blood. The most original thing they've done.
Look, I'm sorry. I'm fucking sorry. I hope Arch just set up a hilarious scenario for me where I hope Games Workshop comes out with a unit called a Blood Knight, takes the fucking Trench Crusade people to court, and fucking destroy them. I would be totally okay with Games Workshop's Lawfare if it put Trench Crusade in the ground. I would be totally okay with that.
Done is go, hey.
And I know I've been mad at GW's use of Lawfare before.
Too.
Oh yeah, that.
Thanks.
I know I've been mad at Games Workshop's Lawfare in the past. If they used it to destroy Trench Crusade, I'd laugh. I'd cheer that shit on. You know what? Does that make me a hypocrite? You goddamn right it does. I wouldn't care. I would not care.
Look, at this point, a truly original setting would be one that goes, yeah, no, the good guys are actually just good.
Also, right, fucking the anti-Christian angle in Trench Crusade is so egregious. It is so fucking egregious. Like, holy shit.
That would actually be a more original
How much
setting.
is... Oh, there's like 4 minutes left in this, okay.
Okay. And also, for the person here, using AI is disgusting if design or breaching copyright is unacceptable. As an artist, this makes me sad and also very worried. Of course, they don't give a shit about you. AI can never replace humans in interpretation of an art piece, and they are not interested in that. They don't give a shit about your art pieces. They don't give a fuck. They have your money. They're now going to use and discard you.
I said this earlier when we started watching this video. I'm gonna add this in there. If any of you Trench Crusade people are anti-AI bros, you need to quit Trench Crusade immediately by your own principles, because now they're using AI. So yeah, you need to do that, like right now. Stick to your guns. Quit Trench Crusade.
The situation is hurting many independent trench creators, indies, merchants, hobbyists all over the world, and many are getting hurt in situations where they have done nothing wrong or have no tools to understand what they've done wrong. Welcome to the modern world. Because Brand Shield does not provide any clear information and Factory Fortress has not provided information on what is happening because this is not an accident. They are doing this to you on purpose, fully aware and knowing what they're doing. We have placed our trust in Factory Fortress by pledging our time, money, and effort towards it.
But they can use it if it is to own the chuds. Yeah.
By the people who built communities. Belfred again award. Miniatures are, however.
Oh shit.
Fortress
Fuck! I clicked the video by mistake when I went to pause it. God damn it.
We have placed our trust in Factory Fortress by pledging our time.
Okay, but still, them bringing up communities is hilarious to me when the TTS, the Tabletop Simulator 40K community, was brought down by a prominent member of the Trench Crusade community because the owner of the Discord server was a conservative. I'm not going to name names, but you know who you are. You know what you did.
Time, money, and effort towards it. Belfred again award. The success of Trench Crusade has been achieved by the people who built communities. Belfred again award. Miniatures art demoted the game, promoted I'm presuming, spread stories and pictures of it. I have pledged my whole career and several thousand of hours on Trench Crusade. Fell for it again. Award. These actions, even if the base of them is understandable and acceptable, the need and necessity to protect IP are too powerful, are done too fast and with too little information towards the community from Factory Fortress.
Okay, you know what? I don't think we need to watch the rest of this. I think we got, the memo of what's the problem here. I'm just gonna put this up on screen. We're just gonna lop that onto the table, let it steam for a minute. Let its musky scent fill the air. You Trench Crusade motherfuckers are gonna keep racking these up over and over again until you finally give up on this godforsaken game you don't actually care about, but are politically invested in. So, Yeah. That's all I'm going to say there. I just, by the way, just on the off chance, because I know you're one of my mutuals on Twitter, just in case you do watch the stream, thank you for the video, Arch. This has been enlightening, to say the least. Oh. And now I've got a headache. This whole thing is giving me a headache. Oh my God. I don't fucking... I'm going to be completely honest. I'm so glad the Trench Crusade guys kicked me off their Discord when this whole thing started, because I don't want to be part of this. I don't want to be part of this. So yeah, I'm just gonna not be part of it. You can have your stupid fucking Trench Crusade game. You can collect all the Fell for It Again awards you won. I want nothing to do with this game. I will gladly rip it apart, mind you. But I will not partake in Trench Crusade. But that said, that was everything I wanted to discuss today. So, one moment. Tactical Tortoise is currently doing, Tactical Tortoise is currently doing a TTS 40K games. They are doing a Alderi versus Deathwatch game. I'm sending y'all to watch that. So that's the end of the stream, everyone. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a good evening. I'll be back tomorrow to ramble, play random games, and count down to the end of the year. So I will see y'all then, everyone. Again, thank you for watching. Appreciate y'all. Hope y'all have a good evening. Enjoy the 40K game. And yeah, later, everyone.
Out there? Yes.